lay behind you. Good times lie ahead. With company worth keeping, that'll bash a smile on your head. Come on in, the door's open, you'll find just the finest folks here. Pull up a chair, grab a drink, and lend our stories your ear. Cause we're the talk the tavern. Here you're always welcome. The talk the tavern. Promising beer and spared love. The talk the tavern. Music, medicine, then some. The talk the tavern. The song's over. Here we come.
And welcome to Talk of the Tavern, Monday, April 29th, 2019. Does anybody else still put, like, 1990-something once in a while instead of 2000? Just me?
No.
Okay. Anyhow, back on.
Just you.
I am your host, Travis Hill. Tonight's topic is going to be creating happiness by changing your reality, motherfuckers. There wasn't enough room for those last couple words, so I just went with that. My vices tonight are Henry McKenna, bourbon, some Coke Zero, and probably not smoking because I have Andrea instead for my vice in the room. So, and speaking of Andrea, what do you have tonight?
My knitting.
Your what?
Knitting.
I feel like we need to adjust the light for you a little.
Why? Am I dark? Like my soul.
You're like a fucking Asian horror movie right now on the screen. You're like creepy.
Thanks. Okay, I have my knitting and I have my tea. And thanks.
Oh, you nitty little girl.
Did you say horror movie or horror movie?
Doesn't matter.
Well, while we're on camera, let's stick with horror, because we can murder people on film, but we can't show a boob. The horror part comes later. If she does it right. You see what I did there? Anyhow, speaking of horror...
Is that like a new Twitch probably?
Speaking of
I'm not
boobs.
allowed to show my boobs, but I can kill someone on air.
Yeah. And speaking of boobs and horrors, Kevin, what do you have tonight?
Tonight I have drum hand rolling tobacco. You caught me in the middle of rolling one there. I'm
So
currently
do you
finishing
have
off the
papers
large
also,
one
or
of
just the
black
tobacco?
Yeah,
Oh.
no, it's not chewing tobacco. I don't have a spittoon carefully positioned just off screen. Drum gold this evening rather than my normal drum. Because I've been smoking a bit more recently in the stronger blue tobacco. It's a bit harsh, so I've switched to gold, which is like their mild version. So drum gold, black coffee, and I shall be raiding my wine rack for a bottle of bread imminently.
You say a bottle of bread?
He did.
Bottle of red.
Oh.
I
Red
heard
wine.
bread.
I think a bottle of bread would be very American of them.
A bottle of bread. Interesting, yeah.
Just gonna drink
Is it
straight
is it
dough.
socially acceptable? Is it socially acceptable to drink red wine out of my Talk of the Tavern pint glass?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah. Unless
A pint of wine is. I'm feeling that tonight.
Ed
It's
is looking, then you have to be careful. He might get a little bitchy about it. It's And what about the delightful, entertaining, and person who hung out at my house all weekend, Elizabeth?
All right.
We have her this week. Hallelujah.
A little worn out from cigarettes and beer, but tonight I will be drinking tea and just a little touch of the Bushmilk.
You're gonna
Touch
touch
your
your bush?
Yeah, but I'd like to say right off the bat, thank you, Skipper, for the lovely card.
Nice. Oh.
Yay.
See, I never saw the card he sent you.
You want me to go get it?
Oh, you know what? To review the past week, Andrea's birthday was on Thursday, and Elizabeth's birthday was yesterday. Now, in the beginning of the month, when I was on air, I asked a lot of people, pretty much everybody for like 2-3 days that showed up on the show, hey, there's a P.O. box below, send Andrea a postcard from just anywhere local or whatever. Oh, there's Toey. And Andrea did get one from Gary, which, Gary, if you're here, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. She got it today because she went by the post office.
Because we were busy this weekend.
Oh, yeah, good times. Andrea had a few days off work, so she didn't go past the post office. So, I mean, other than that, so hold your card up again for me, Elizabeth. I want to take a look at it. Because I haven't seen Andrea's at Jamin. That actually, Jewel made the cards, I believe.
I'll go get it. Oh, we'll be
And it's dimensional. It's cut out. It's dimensional. You can see it.
Wow, has more depth than most people I know.
Oh.
And it.
My grandma used to do that with all her old Christmas cards.
Nice. And
But
then what's the
the
inside?
leftovers? You know, you buy like a big box of Christmas cards, 50 Christmas cards or something for your family. You know, the people you don't give a shit about,
Right.
ones you don't buy special cards for, and it's 50 cards, but there's only 2 or 3 designs. So you'll end up with 2 or 3 cards left over that you haven't sent. Sometimes they have an identical design. And my grandmother would do that. She'd keep one intact card, and then she'd cut out bits from the other 2 and put little foam sponges underneath them and build up pretty layered cards just like that.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
People don't
It's a bit of work.
appreciate.
Yeah, she's got an entire year until the next Christmas to get it done.
Well, I'm a lazy fucking fat American, so that's a lot of goddamn work.
I'm not working with.
You work it though.
Cool.
Yeah, you do. Oh, okay. So looks like Andrea now has one also, which I'm going to show this to the camera. There's Gary. Gary, Andrea did pick up your card from the post office today. There's John. And, Andrea's got
Hey, John.
something different in hers.
That's cat.
So I'll show you guys also. Elizabeth, I don't know if you saw.
Oh, she got a pussy.
You got the pussy. Pussy.
But this
Pussy.
is my card from Gary.
Pussy.
Oh, here, there you go. See, you got that. You could have shown everybody and not had to show it to 2 cameras.
Well, and I got.
And another.
Oh, good. That's so cute.
Is that a card you got for your birthday?
Yeah.
Who sent
from a
that?
friend. Of my friend Linda. La la la. It's got googly eyes.
That's so cool.
Googly
It's
eyes
so
are always
cute.
bonus. So Gary and everybody else that sent cards, James and Jewel, etc. Thank you. No, who's that one from?
This is from Melody.
Oh, okay.
It says I wrote you a song for your birthday, and inside she's like, I'm not gonna sing it. That's your gift.
Oh, yeah. Man, it's good to have you guys here. Tonight's topic, by the way, we're just going to talk about the realization that we want to be happy in life. Oh, Toei asked, did you get my card, Andrea? No, and she checked the mail today or yesterday?
Today.
She checked it today, so when did you send it, Toei?
These are all the cards I got.
It's, maybe she'll respond with, that's because I didn't fucking send it, bitch. We'll see.
Oh, whatever.
I don't think, it's always funny to hear Toei cuss.
I know.
Even if she types it, I hear it. Up. It's lost then. It went out early. Oh, well. Oh, that sucks. Well, thank you for sending one. And even if you didn't, that's fucking genius to just ask people.
Did you get it?
You didn't get it? Oh, damn. Gary says Jim Croce went to Villanova and named his first group the Spires after those particular spires on the church.
Oh.
On the postcard you got. It's a very pretty church.
I like it.
It's for those that didn't see it, here it is up on the screen again. Andrew's displaying it. His father went to that university. It was a church. It's now a university. I love architecture. That's one great thing I can say so many religions brought to this world is some fucking awesome architecture.
Oh, I love looking at old churches and things. It's very nice.
You say whatever else you want about religion, but they build some nice shit. Because they've got the money, so, yeah. Anyhow. It's,
Has there been, just out of curiosity, while you mentioned religious buildings, has there been the same outcry in the US about the money that's been offered by certain millionaires, billionaires to restore Notre Dame?
no. Not that I've
Yeah,
heard.
I'm assuming everybody's aware of the fact that Notre Dame caught fire.
Burned, yeah.
It's severely damaged.
Yeah, it was just like
There's
that
been
certain Disney movie. And Disney did offer
there's-
$5 million or something, like $50 million to $5 billion. I don't know.
I can't remember his name, but that one billionaire offered to foot what is estimated to be pretty much 75% of the cost of the rebuild. I can't remember the billionaire's name. All I can tell you is he's the guy who's married to Salma Hayek.
Okay.
No, but that's all I remember from the newspaper article. But he pledged something outrageous, like 90,
100 million, I think was his
100,
bid.
yeah, 90 million, 100 million, something like that. Yeah. the outcry has basically been, yes, we get it, it's an amazing historic building, it's a massive centre of Christianity, etc., 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 but the money you're spending on restoring the centuries-old church to its former glory, which is going to take another 50 years, you could eradicate hunger and
113 million.
So the point that's been raised by a lot of people is, yes, it's a lovely gesture, but where are these same people when it comes to finding money to stop rainforests being deforested or the ecology being destroyed or homeless people in the streets or veterans not being supported? The list goes on and on and on. I just found it quite an interesting theological question or a cultural question. You know, what's more important to our society?
I'm going to throw this out there. First of all, Toey's comment. It's his money. He could do what he wants with it. Which, anybody disagree with that?
Yeah. No, not at all.
Okay. The other thing I have to say is, sure, I get where people are coming from. But, yeah, I guess it really goes back to exactly what Toei just said. It's his money. You know, where was he during Hurricane Katrina? Well, probably with, a bunch of other people handing out money, and he just didn't get the press. This one, he gets the press. And, yeah, frankly, even if he didn't give one red damn cent for any natural disaster, the tsunamis in India, etc. John corrects, only 50%. Oh, well, fuck that guy then.
Is that all? That's what it was.
Wanker.
That's right. Jerk. Only 50%.
And a lot of time, and I understand the emotional response, but throwing money at a problem isn't always going to resolve it. Look at what happened with, when they had, was it Band-Aid or World Aid? I can't remember what that was. Food was rotting on the dock because they hadn't set up the structure to get it to what people need.
They estimate that roughly 60% of all the money raised by the infamous original Live Aid concert was misappropriated by African warlords and used to fund private armies that actually ended up killing African civilians.
Well, let's do this. Next time there's a natural disaster, instead of raising money to repair the area that was hurt, let's raise money to move those fuckers somewhere this shit doesn't happen. Let's do that.
Thanks, and thank you, Andrea.
What'd you do? Nothing? You totally denied. Oh, by the way, I do need to thank Elizabeth today for being kind enough to she went, hey, do you want another month of Warcraft? And I went, no, I'm okay. I struggled. She's bigger than me. I shut the hell up and said thank you. Totally arm behind my back, face against the table. I was crying, but I said yes.
Lies. All lies. She came out completely naked and said, please.
Wait, was that you or me that was naked? Just to clarify.
I missed this.
Support my habit.
If anyone out there is now feeling a sense of social injustice because no one offered them a month of free Warcraft, if you'd like some free Warcraft, come over here and call me a prick to my face.
That's true. That's true. And I know better than to show up naked for Elizabeth. Instead, I show up sweaty in a cowboy hat, a wife beater t-shirt, and blue jeans.
There you go.
Yeah.
A big cigar.
Yeah.
A big cigar.
That's much sexier than me naked.
You can borrow mine.
Your cigar?
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anything I can do to keep you from being a true adult.
Okay, that was great till you put me in those little boy shorts.
Denim little boy shorts.
And I couldn't get out of that little baby walker thing you put me in that I wheel around in the living room, play with the little beads on the front. Let's go into a review of the last week. Elizabeth, you're allowed to cover 2 weeks. Anybody have anything interesting go on in the past couple weeks? Mm-hmm. What do you got, Andrea?
We went to the cemetery.
You want to be a little more specific on that one?
We went to the cemetery.
Okay.
So if anybody follows our Instagram, you can see our pictures. We did a great little photos and fun and I don't know.
Okay, let me see if I can get your Instagram up there. Instagram.com/AndreaLayChat.
It's
right?
fun, yeah. There's pictures. There's pickles. There's
Hold on.
stuff.
Yeah,
I
we
saw
have.
some of those pictures. Some of those pictures you guys over this last weekend were awesome.
Yeah,
I
it
know.
was a great day. It was such perfect weather. And I was with two debonair.
Elizabeth, what's your Instagram, please?
Let me look
Elizabeth
at.
Chesney.
I am Elizabeth Pashetsky.
Oh my God, I've got to spell it.
Eli.
I got Elizabeth. Thank you.
Okay, space PAS
PASIE
IE CZ
ZZ.
N
CZNY.
Okay.
Z
Season cunt.
Z. But if you say Z, Americans don't know what that is.
I'm Canadian. It's okay.
Y.
Okay, so I've posted our 3 Instagrams if you want to see what we did this weekend.
Just go like it. Go see the stuff. Oh, on mine there's lots of cats.
Yeah,
And you can see G-Rev behind me on the tree.
you can. You can.
He'll go crazy and climb it later.
Be all. Did Kevin doze off? What the fuck happened there?
No, I'm here.
Yeah,
He's
well,
rolling.
Oh, by the way-
your Instagram.
I do want to do this before we get started, and then we'll go back to discussing the past week or so for all of us. I want to thank everybody for subscribing. If you haven't resubscribed, please do so. These things, the bits, the subscribing, the donations, Patreon, however you choose to support, every little bit of it helps. We are at 58% of our bit total, and we have 2 more days to hit it. So thank you all, and I don't care if you're throwing 5 bits or 5,000. We appreciate every little bit, every subscription. And it goes to keeping up the websites, getting us new equipment, booze, whores, and cat supplies. Kevin, you're the whore.
That's right. I was getting upset then. I was going to say I got my cat. I seem to be missing the rest of the package. But then that's been the story of my life.
Oh, man, who doesn't love a back scratcher? They're fuckers.
You're my back scratcher and you're a fucker.
That's right.
I
Okay.
think I have to update my Twitch app so I can watch the chat.
No, you just, like,
Yeah, I do.
with the
because
thing
I have to do it.
and the thing, and then you do the thing. Okay, did anybody else have anything else interesting in the past 2 weeks? Cake? You want to talk about the cake?
It was cake and ice cream in the cake. Oh my god. Cake, ice cream, cake. That's all I can say. I don't even say what they do.
You can go get a piece right now if you
Yeah.
want. Of cake, too. Oh, wait. Oh, thank you, Toey. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. I love your bits. There's a comedian on Netflix that would say they're big enough to hold leaves. Anyhow.
There's leaves in there.
There's Bob. Cookie Put. God,
Yeah.
Cookie Puss from Carvel.
They don't do that anymore.
And Fudgy the Whale, which sounds very dirty.
both of them do.
Cookie Puss does sound dirty too, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would love
You
a
think
Cookie
that sounds
Puss.
dirty? You clearly never experienced children's television in Britain in the 70s.
Yes, I've seen YouTube videos. It was fucking great. It's like the children's book that I'm looking for an artist for. Bob, we were just thanking people like you. I see the little Talk of the Tavern icon next to your name, which means you subscribe and keep that up, and we appreciate that. And I know you're huge on throwing bits. Mind you, Elizabeth has maintained #1 for most of April. Thank you, Elizabeth. Appreciate that. Oh, there's Bob.
I'm on top.
Bob's on top now. He
Oh.
just put you right underneath him.
Yeah, I did.
Now
Stick
we've
that in your
lost.
cannoli Stick that in your cannoli and smoke it.
That's right. Now we've lost Bob to a furtive masturbation session after I said that. What? So Elizabeth, what went on in your world in the past week or two since we last saw you?
I have reached a point in my life where I am absolutely addicted, and I get a high from my writing, and I can't seem to go a day without writing. And I even wrote over 6 hours on my birthday.
You did. You
I
did.
know I
I did.
saw it.
Every day she was here, she went out and sat on the front porch, not in a chair, on the goddamn ground, and used a chair to put her laptop on. And I'm like, how can she be comfortable? But she was out there for hours
That was great.
doing what she was doing, and yeah, good stuff there. So when the hell are you going to be done with it and start a new project?
Probably another month.
Okay.
And then I got to get coverage on it, so I send it out to people to analyze it and either give it a recommend or not. And then I'll be sending it out to producer.
That reminds me, hold on, Robert Turk, Candersnitch, sent me a, really, I just got a notification from eBay, just for you, 8% off 3M headlight restoration system.
Thanks.
Oh my god, stop the show, I've got to go buy this.
Drive-through RPG. Is that what you were looking for?
I'm just looking for the link in general that he sent me.
Oh, because I went ahead and got it. Well, while he's looking for that link, it's on Drive-through RPG.
Slash
Your face.
my face.
What?
Don't slash my face. Okay. Kevin, what
I'm
went
not
on?
sure what headlights have to do with writing, but I'm still waiting for that plane to land. I'm circling the airport.
That was the eBay notification I just received that they gave me 8% off a headlight cleaner system.
And you never looked for that, did you? It's
Wow.
because I was talking about it.
I would like
You
to. Yes, Kev?
I was just say you get all the best deals.
Okay, let me go throw this right over here in Twitch. Yeah, I'd like to mock you, Elizabeth, going, why don't you fucking listen? But you know what? It could have just been the connection, so I can't harass you too much. Okay, stream chat. How do I chat in this? There it is. Okay, guys. What I'm sending you right now, what I just popped up there, is Robert Turk's preview of his next role-playing game. This is a sit-and-play role-playing game, and it's family friendly, though adults only can play it, and you can make it definitely more adult. What he noticed is when he was running games, when you brought kids into the games, it was the kids following the adults around as the adults did things. So he has created a game that is child-centric, but the adults can still play, but it is not combat-centric, and the kids are basically helping things and problem solving. But it's still quick and fun and witty. So check out the preview, throw reviews up, do the things we do for our creative friends and the things we want our friends to do for us when we're creative people. Go get that shit. I'm going to go download it right now.
Do it free. I do it now. It's free.
So Kevin, what happened in the past week or two with you, man? That you want to talk about in public?
Well, that narrative is significant. Not a great deal. I went to the Islands chili farm the other day.
You what?
We have a chili farm.
Like
here on the island, 'cause
like Texas type chili in a bowl, or like chili peppers?
No, chili peppers.
Oh.
It's not Texas.
Well,
It's UK.
because we're the southernmost point of the UK, the island sometimes referred to as the Riviera of England. We get the most sunlight every year, so we have the best weather in the country for growing crops that
Oh, I
require.
thought you guys were like originally a prison thing, like Australia or Georgia.
What, like Australia, but closer.
Yes.
You get deported to the Isle of Wight.
Or Georgia. One of our whole original 13 colonies was a penal colony. And we're like, fuck, they've got weapons. We should include them.
We've discussed this before, the fact that where you guys live now is where a lot of British people from my neck of the woods originally landed.
It's very true, yeah, in
So many of the place names in Virginia echo the place names around where I live.
Yeah, there's
you
an Isle of Wight out
You have
here.
an Isle of Wight County.
That's where I live.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
Is it really? I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
realize that.
And they haven't tried, but occasionally someone will say, "Isn't that racist?" No.
Wrong
Accurate.
spelling.
Wrong
Sorry.
white.
No, it's the Isle of Undead creature type white.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, it's not racist unless you are a Barrow White yourself. I went to the chili farm, which basically entailed 3 hours of having a wonderful conversation with the owners and crying a lot. Brought back some souvenirs. This is the, you can see this, the Death's Head bottle. There's an interesting stuff now. This is only the little miniature ones because they're only allowed to use these now. And there's an interesting story here about why Mike Myers is a dick. Or not Mike necessarily, I hasten to add, but certainly the legal team that represent Mike Myers' financial interests. The Isle of Wight chili farm is a tiny concern. It's literally a farm. It's not a business. They only sell on the island. They don't export. They don't sell to major manufacturers, etc., etc. And they produce their own chili oils with a variety. And this is an absolute killer. This is made from Marucas, so it's not to blow the back of your head off. But they do it in a variety of strength. And they use skull-shaped bottles because they're an interesting selling point. However, they can still use these little tiny ones. But they used to do a full-size bottle, contain roughly a litre of chili oil, in a glass-shaped skull bottle. Mike Myers produces a vodka, and no one knows this, that is sold in a skull-shaped glass bottle. And the owners of the Isle of Wight chili farm at the end of last year were issued with cease and desist papers by Mike Myers' lawyers for using a glass bottle that appeared to be identical to the glass bottle this vodka is bottled in, and they can now no longer use the glass sculls to sell their oil in. Not in that size. Right?
Haven't
the
they?
ones are different.
Haven't they been using it longer than Mike Myers has?
Not necessarily longer, but to be honest, if you go and look at wholesalers from China, you can buy glass-shaped skull bottles in every size from something tiny like that all the way up to 20, 30 odd litre ones in any kind of skull design you want. And the skull design that the guys use on the farm here is very similar to, but not exactly the same bottle. Apparently he claims the owner, and they took advice from their lawyers, but unfortunately had to change their brand. So a tiny little farming concern on a small island off the south coast of the UK have had their business fucked over by a bunch of lawyers from America.
So it's kind of like when Vanilla Ice did not steal Queen's lyrics from Under Pressure.
It is nothing like that. It's nothing like that. It's a small guy getting trampled by a big guy who sends out...
I'm like, it's the same, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I made the papers over here, obviously, because our paper will report, as you guys will know from having seen a copy of it, a cat getting stuck in a tree makes page 3. But it was a big thing over here. There was petitions and all sorts, but in the end, their legal advice was, you aren't going to win this one. It will cost you the business. Try and raise enough money to fight somebody that big. Just give in and change your bottle. So they did.
That sucks.
Yeah. The good news is it doesn't matter what bottle they put in, their chili oil kicks out.
So what do you use this chili oil for?
You can use it. I mean, sometimes I'll use it to make dressings. I quite like a dressing with a little bit of heat to it sometimes, depending on what it's going with. But actually, a lot of the time, I'll use it to fry things in. Frying halloumi, for example, that's a great one.
Frying what?
That. Halloumi cheese.
Oh.
So halloumi is a Greek-style hard cheese, but it has a unique property because of the way it's made and the conditioning and the rennet that's used to make it. Unlike most cheese, you can put it in a deep fat fryer or a frying pan of hot oil, and it doesn't melt. It retains its shape, and it just browns on the outside instead. It's used a lot in vegan burgers and things like that.
Interesting.
But halloumi is really nice, and I like it. But it's lovely if you fry it in a little bit of chili oil.
What did Toei ask?
Toei asked, can you get glass bottles that look vaguely like Mike Myers from China? Seems like a good compromise.
That would be great. Get Mike Meyer head bottles and put their chili oil in that.
That'd be amazing. Make bottles shaped like Mike Myers' head.
Wouldn't that just be
yes, the answer is you can, but I think the problem they said is that in order to do that, you would have to legally go and argue your case in court. And the amount of money they were looking at to contest that, because they're only such a small business, literally just one single farm holding.
Wait,
Their lawyers advise them.
They would have to go to court to make Mike Meyer head bottles?
No, to use.
Right.
Yes, you can get you can get all these different glass-shaped skull bottles, so they could have switched to a different skull.
No, instead of skull, Mike Meyer. Mike Myers. Instead of a skull, it'll be Mike Myers.
If we could do that, that'd be amazing. In fact, I would seriously consider a GoFundMe just for the fuck you.
But then wouldn't Shatner jump in on that? Because Mike Myers' mask is made from a Shatner mask.
Wait a minute. Are you talking about... You're talking about the Mike Myers from Halloween. We're talking about Mike Myers, the actor, from So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Oh.
Did you think the guy from Halloween sued this
Michael Myers. Okay. You know what? Wrong Mike Myers, sorry.
Either way, it'd be a cool bottle.
I didn't know he made vodka.
He just probably bought interest in a company that does
Alright,
it.
see, I'm thinking of the horror guy. Never mind. I'm just going to be quiet.
No.
It's not very good vodka. It's okay.
Is it the Crystal Skull vodka?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
it's like $60. It's expensive. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Arrogant prick.
So,
Oh, really? I'm thinking of the wrong Mike Myers.
In fairness to him, he may not even be aware of this.
Right.
We are talking about a legal firm acting to protect his financial interests. It's not like Mike Myers woke up one morning, flicked open a copy of the Isle of Wight County Press he had delivered freshly every Friday, and goes, "Hold the fuck on! New Church chili farmer using a glass. Get me my lawyers."
Perhaps he needs a platform to come debate the issue and explain his actions. Maybe he should be on the show.
that's a great idea.
Get Mike Myers on the show, then pin him down and rub Isle of Wight chili oil into his eyes.
You know, how about we
At least
get...
it's not
I'll
Michael
save
Myers.
this bottle.
That's right. Yeah, we do.
Can't
Why don't we get Mike Myers, the actor, to clarify, and the guy who runs the chili thing to come on air and debate this whole issue, which will probably be the chili oil guy going, "Oh yeah, we've been using these for years," and Mike going, "Yeah, I didn't fucking know. Hold on while I call my lawyer and fix this shit.
Okay.
Have a good
Probably.
day."
It'd be like the most uninteresting show ever. 20 seconds later, dispute solved. No worries.
Whatever. Works for me.
But then-
Chili.
Talk of the Tavern would be Isle of Wight hero.
Oh, good. Yeah, and then we
Yeah.
can go over
Maybe
there.
they'll send us some chili oil. You know what? Maybe they'll give you chili oil and you could get some fucking benefits from being on the show.
Yes.
I'm sorry, is that the
You guys
gang
can-
sign
you
for
guys can
Isle of
whiskey
Wight
out
Power?
against chili oil. Isle of Wight Power. Amazing. All right, my lovers.
All right. Isle of Wight power.
White power.
Mm-mm.
Oh, you're gonna
Throw that thumb up so you have the I in front of the W, so it's Isle of Wight Power.
You're gonna make him spit his whiskey all over the damn keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
Gary says it was a misperception, and not just because I was thinking of the same Mike Myers, hockey mask and all. Way cool as a bottle of hot sauce. It's horrifyingly hot.
See, that's what I was thinking of, Gary.
Okay, Gary, Mike Myers doesn't wear a hockey mask. Jason wears a hockey mask.
But Mike Myers wears Shatner's face.
Oh, we gotta... Oh, we have to... Hold on. We've got to moderate... We got to moderate one of Toei's statements.
Toei. What did it say? See, I don't get that on mine. I'm not moderator anymore.
Are you not a moderator?
Yes,
I'm going to
not.
make you a moderator in a second here. Toei, you're a naughty girl. She says...
I'm missing all of this because I'm not running Twitch tonight.
Toei says it sounds like you're saying I love white power instead of Isle of White Power.
Another peril of my accent.
Oh my gosh.
Hold on, I gotta go make... Why is Andrea not a
I don't know.
moderator?
Thanks, Skype.
I'm slowly beginning to conform to the Isle of Wight stereotype as well, because I lost one of my front teeth this week. So.
That is a bit of news. How are you with that?
All right.
You
I've
didn't fight?
I've had done what I can have done to it for now.
Yeah, he got
The
in a
other boy has a
fight
very
with a mint. Was it a
We
mint
have
you were eating?
a,
Chocolate. You were eating chocolate, right?
garlic bread.
What?
Garlic bread?
It was garlic bread.
You broke your tooth on garlic bread? It is hell being 40. How?
Did you ever
and
cook
I broke it. I mean, the tooth was weak anyway, but I broke it into, or not quite into. I snapped it off just below the gum line.
Oh,
Oh, jeez. Are you all right, man?
Yeah, I'm okay now. Again, one of the joys of living on an island. There are no dentists signing on anywhere here on the
Really?
island at the moment. The shortest waiting list to sign on with a dentist is 3 months.
holy shit.
Wow.
So you can get emergency dental treatment, but you can't get follow-up treatment unless you're actually registered for the surgeries. I've had emergency treatment. Basically, I was prescribed a bunch of antibiotics, and then they ground it down, filed off all the rough edges.
Is it just me, or did Elizabeth's face freeze like that?
No, just you.
It's not
And that's
pleasant.
yours.
Elizabeth, reset your camera real quick. Just, turn it off and turn it back
It
on.
works fine on mine.
Does it?
Yeah.
You see her okay?
Yeah, it's just yours, because
Well-
I'm looking at yours.
Well, let me try to get her reset.
If you see me doing this with my mouth a lot tonight, like I'm eating a boiled sweet somewhere, it's actually because I've still got that weird feeling where there's this big gap.
Wait,
where
did
I'm
you
used to
say
having
a
the tooth,
boiled
so-
sweet?
boiled sweet?
Who boils sweets?
Never had like hard sugar sweets, like
Oh, is that
clear
what it's called?
boiled sugar with fruit.
Are you talking about like taffy?
No, taffy's different. I'm talking about. I don't know. Am I? I don't know. It's not the same, is it?
By the way, Elizabeth, did you want a chance to go on a rant about socialist medicine versus capitalism medicine?
No, no, I know you.
Bring your mic down. We're losing you.
I'm sorry. I know what you're talking about, Kev. I've had that. Quite delightful.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually wonderful. Yeah. I've got no wish to give you a close up of the state of my dental hygiene, but you can really see from back there. I know.
No. Oh man, I feel bad for
You
you.
look great. Oh, yeah, that look great. You look so
like a hockey
top.
player.
Yeah,
There's
now
a cigarette in there. That's awesome.
If I just peel my top lip back now and then stick a bit of straw out of the corner of my mouth, I instantly look like I'm just missing a 5-bar gate.
Oh, you could just hang a cigarette right there. That's awesome. No, I does it hurt still? Is it your own pain? Ah.
It's not painful anymore.
That's good.
It's a certain amount of discomfort, especially when I forget it's not there and I try and bite normally.
Or if you pull on a cigarette and the air blows across it, I'm sure that has a fun.
That's
effect.
not so bad, because what they've done for the time being is put like a temporary filling, like a cover over it to seal the nerve in.
Okay.
So I'm not getting agonising exposed nerve pain anymore, which is what I had to put up with. So of all days to do it as well, I did it on Easter Sunday.
Posting.
There was nowhere open I could go to on Sunday or on the Monday, which is a bank holiday in the UK, so everything's shut. So I did it halfway through Sunday and had to wait until the following Tuesday morning before I could see a dentist anyway, which was fun. Yeah, it's okay. I've got some minor discomfort from it, but I'm past the stage of, oh my god, I want to smash my head into a brick wall every 5 minutes. It's all good.
Well, you look great. Are you going to get the tooth replaced or capped or?
No, actually, I'm thinking of having someone smack one out on the other side, so I'm symmetrical. Just turning the front two into a massive 7 Bugs Bunny style fangs.
Yeah, I was thinking you could just terrify people by putting ears on and chewing on carrots in front of each other. There you go. That's pretty good. It's if you put on 50 pounds, you look totally American.
Just 50.
Okay,
He is
considering your
50,
height, you might
so-
need 100. Yeah. Okay, so we are 42 minutes into the show. Does anybody else have anything that went on in the past week or two that they want to discuss?
Don't think so.
Did she freeze?
Elizabeth.
Oh. She moved.
No, I can't. I'll think of it an hour from now. I should have said.
Well, we don't allow
it's-
tangents on the show, so you're just going to have to swallow it back down.
Only if I loved you.
It's the quickest way to get the taste out of your
Oh
mouth.
my god, that's
Speaking
so
from
cute.
experience, what?
I'm just looking at Instagram and Elizabeth posted the pickles.
Why are you-
My sour monkey.
There it is. There. Wow, aren't they cute?
Mm.
Yeah, we went to Citizen Burger.
Yeah,
Burgers. It was fabulous.
pretty decent burgers. Elizabeth and I did agree, Andrea, that there was too much pickle to breading ratio.
Yeah, no, I just ate that outside.
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody else agreed with me, but they had a sriracha mayo, fucking incredible.
It was great. It was good.
I was just using a knife and slathering it on my pickle, if you know what I mean, and just choking it down.
Ah,
It was choking.
I
me as well.
watched.
Mike Myers lures are drawing up a suit now.
Oh, and by the way, that we ran across our waitress happened to be somebody I worked with at Outback, and she was one of the young ladies, meaning just one side or the other of 20 years old, who actually fucking worked while I was there. And she's like, "Oh no, I goofed off too," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I didn't see it," which means you goofed off when you should goof off, as opposed to when you should be doing work.
Goofed off like a pro.
Right. You did your fucking shit, then you went and fucked off till you had to work again.
Do your fucking
Whereas
shit,
I remember watching people for 2 hours, they would sit in a booth watching Netflix on their phone and coloring the Outback coloring pages for children. And
Are they
would,
hiring?
huh?
Are they hiring?
Yeah, probably, Kev. Yeah, it's all the time. And I
But
do,
frankly, I could do with some more practice, so I still go outside the lines all the time.
Kev, I just want to give you career advice. Like, quit putting yourself in a position where you're fucking carrying the weight of the whole goddamn business on your shoulders, and learn to say
Well,
no
I'm not-
once in a while.
I'm not anymore. Not
Yeah,
for a
that's
few
very
weeks.
true. Kevin has taken a couple days off for his own sake.
21 of them, to
There
be
you go.
For
precise.
everybody's sake.
I guess that's a good enough segue into the topic. If I can have the floor for a moment, interrupt if it's terribly important. But
Excuse me for 30 seconds while I fetch wine.
yeah, absolutely. Go get your pint of wine. So something Andrea and I have realized recently, we want to be happy. Now, that might seem like, oh, how is that fucking amazing? But a lot of people say it, but they don't take steps towards it. Andrea's son is an adult, and she doesn't necessarily have him in her life constantly now. It's you go hang out for a day once a month or so. My son isn't even coming around that often anymore. He's 16 and he has a second household he can live in and run away from anything he has to deal with here, such as adult responsibilities that I give him. So I've recently gone to Andrea and went, look, let's start planning the rest of our lives. Otherwise, if I don't have a purpose and a goal, I get depressed, I get lost, and I'm ready to just fucking quit life. I'm not saying I'm going to shoot myself tomorrow. I'm just saying I need something to fucking do, a reason to get out of bed. Let's make this reason. Let's figure it out, because we can. And this is something I'm amazed that many people over a certain age continue to do. They make a reason to get out of bed. So we've been exploring those options, and I discussed we want to travel, we want to do this, we want to do that. But the bottom line is we want to be happy every day. And happiness is enjoying the moment you're in right now. For me, that defines happiness. Enjoying the moment you're in right now. Now, before I open up the floor to discussion, I've thrown an audiobook to Kevin and Elizabeth that I'm listening to now. I've listened to it a couple times. It's very a new age, granola crunching, fucking hippie thing of working with energy, though the author does reference Christ and Buddha and other spiritual teachers, and very much goes, this is a broad spectrum thing. They were all teaching the same thing at the core, so I'm going to reference the Bible and reference Buddha quotes, etc., etc. But it boils down to this Fuck, I can't post a picture in Twitch. What do you got, Elizabeth?
Nothing.
Okay.
I'm happy.
Let me pull up this one picture here and read it that made me think about doing this on the show 2 weeks ago, and here we are doing it now. Give me a second while I pull up the picture and read it to you guys. It says energy is everything, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy, this is physics. Okay, first of all, it is philosophy, not physics. But I want to say, tonight we're going to discuss this philosophy as physics using prayer, scientific energy work of the bioelectrical field around the human body, spell work for Wicca, etc., through the other philosophies and religions. Basically going, we're all going to level the playing field and not dicker over details. Just understand, we all kind of want the same fucking thing here in life. And that's to enjoy it and be happy. And how do we go about doing that every single day? And Gary, Toey, Bob, as far as I know, you guys generally enjoy life. Anybody else there, put your 2 cents in. Throw your 2 cents in. This is very much one of our interactive shows that we want to hear from you, because we're looking to one of life's biggest questions we want to answer and move forward, because the past 6 months have been quite the roller coaster ride for really all of us. And this is our little support group and our way of going, hey, how do we be happy? Because we look happy on the show, and generally we are, because we're amongst friends having a good time. But
we've always said that, haven't we? For years now, we've been saying that this is not a show. This is our weekly group therapy. It's just that you guys subscribe so you can spy on it.
Yeah, and jump in once in a while. You're in our pub, and you're sitting in the next booth, and every once in a while you shout shit over the back of the chair at us, and we answer you. And then some asshole wanders in and says random shit, and we're like, who the fuck is that?
Mm-hmm.
And some dickhead at the bar orders a pint of Montepulciano.
That's right. And then Bob becomes our friend, and the other dickhead leaves because he's got no platform here.
That is big glass of wine.
It is a big glass of wine, isn't it? Look at that.
Lord.
Look at that fucking class right there. None of it.
This is to the audience. We make you feel normal.
Behold the field in which I grow my fox. See how barren she lies.
By the way, Gary liked your comment about are they hiring Kevin? Kevin, you would love working in Outback because you could just be a mindless drone. You would shine when you did your shittiest job.
And the
I get
ceilings
away
are
with
high.
everything, so I speak with a British accent.
Yeah, okay, so you'd be hot to the women too.
Yeah, you would.
Inexplicably. I still can't wrap my head around that.
Okay, you know what? I'm not saying you're normally hot, dude. I'm saying because you have a British accent. But no, actually,
I get that. I understand that.
But honestly,
one of the joys for me of Netflix is that I get to watch comedians from other countries I wouldn't normally see on TV in Britain. And I watched a lot of stand-up.
check out Ken Jeong. Well worth watching. I only saw like 20 minutes of it. Enjoyed the fuck out of it.
Oh my god! And
Watch some
then
of
I'm
that
like,
recently.
sounds like that.
There's a guy, I can't remember his name now. I caught some of his stuff the other day. All I can tell you, he's a big guy, around 300 pounds, and he's an ex-Marine. He was a helicopter engineer.
Oh.
But I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But he was doing a bit the other day where he mentioned that he's from the South.
Okay.
And his mother was English. And he said, why did my mother not talk to me more when I was a child? Because then maybe I would have picked up some of her accent. And when I say something now, people will go, hey, stop. That's a British accent. This could be the most important thing we've listened to all day. You see, now, instead, I've got a southern accent. So I could be stood here explaining the principles of quantum physics to you. And then it proceeds to expound on quantum physics for about 30 seconds. And all you guys hear at the end of it is, oh, you like to fuck your cousin and you hate black people.
Wow.
Okay.
Which
Okay.
is
What?
Again, extremely stereotypical.
Kevin, I need that guy's name. I got to watch that guy. That sounds good.
I'll try and find it for you in a minute. Yeah.
But let me tell you this, Kevin. You do have a personality. And okay, you're not hard on the eyes. You in no way are unattractive. But your personality and your accent shines through. You're very attractive to women, dude. And probably many men, too.
Thanks, Travis. I love you too.
Yeah, you're welcome, baby. But yeah, it's, I think, personality and attitude, even when we're in our shittiest, when we put on our face and go outside of our own house and outside of our inner circle, we present, Andrea, I have seen you in shit hell places in your life, and you go to work and come home and tell me how well fucking assholes hit on you all day long.
Apparently that happened this weekend too, and I'm like, what? While we were driving.
Oh, so we're driving down the road, and a big, huge black pickup truck with a Punisher skull in the back window pulls up next, and this guy is like a chimp in heat. He is, now on the driver's side is Andrea driving, Elizabeth in the seat behind her, and I'm in the passenger front seat, so he can't see me. And he is just chair dancing the fuck out of shit.
He rolled down his window. He's like, "Where are you headed to?" And I'm like,
he is talking to her and Elizabeth, and he is chair dancing, and his buddy who's driving is keeping up. And by the way, there's like 5 pickup trucks in a row, all jacked up, as in raised up. And I leaned back in my seat and turned my head to look out the window at him. And to his credit, after 20 seconds, when he realized I was staring at him, he immediately held up his hands, went like that, and his friend moved forward, no longer keeping pace with us. And by the way, kudos, if you're going to flirt, once you realize...
Is that why you were giving thumbs up?
Well, when he went like, oh, nope, sorry, I gave him a thumbs up. Because if you're going to flirt, once you realize, oh, there's no game here, to go, my bad, and move on, that's the fucking way to do it. He flattered the hell out of these women, and when he realized, oh, this isn't going to go anywhere, he
I didn't realize
sign language, sorry, and moved on. But yeah.
Because I'm a dork.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's just like when you laugh at me when I don't realize I'm being flirted with. And I'm just like, oh, they were very nice. And you're like, oh, you're so close. So, yeah, I've seen all of us where we're just in a bad place in life and we go out in public or get on the show and we don't talk about these things publicly to the world.
It's not their business.
Oh, hold on.
Are any of you guys, or have you ever watched wrestling?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
WWE wrestling. Okay. You familiar with who Kurt Angle is?
Hmm?
Are you familiar with who Kurt Angle is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
oh, yeah, I met him. He's very nice.
Yeah, the guy who actually won gold in Olympic wrestling for the US. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
My friend and I, me not so much these days, I'm more of an old school wrestling fan. I don't really keep up with it now. But a friend of mine's still obsessed with it. And his nickname for me is Kurt Angle. Not because I can wrestle, but because I resemble the guy in any way. But because career-wise, he once came and did a day's work with me, 1 day's work. I had KP, a kitchen porter, phone in sick for the day. I had no one available. It was a horrendous day a few years ago now. So I threw a post out on Facebook. I'm in the shit for the day. Did any of my friends want to earn cash? I'll pay you myself. I just need someone to come and wash up and clear away from me for a few hours. And it's Luke, the magician. You guys, I don't know. Spoken to it, yeah. So Luke messaged me. He's like, bro, I've got the day free. Fuck it, I'll come help you out. And after 1 day of watching me work, he's like, I don't know how you do that. 365 days a year. That would kill me after 1 day. And so his nickname for me ever since has been Kurt Angle. It's like he's the one wrestler who, through injuries, career setbacks, everything, the guy just keeps getting up and getting back in the ring and fighting every day. And that's how he describes what I do. He's like, I do not understand how anybody can put up with that level of stress for that many hours in a day, every day, and still get up and go and do it.
Here's what I want for you, Kevin.
Exactly what he's saying. Stay in place.
Here's what I want for you, Kevin. Absolutely. That's fucking awesome. And a lot of us do that. We, because some people say, and Gary, I will read your comment in just a moment. I'll get to that comment in just a moment. It is not the fact that you get knocked down. It's the fact that you get back up. That's how you move and continue and whatnot. But what I want is to make it, A, you realize your own worth, so you don't do it 365 days a year.
Yeah,
B,
I think there's certainly a danger, especially with repetitive job, of dropping into a knot, finding comfort in a groove and then not realizing that the best thing for you is to be out of that groove.
well,
I've been guilty of it myself many times.
you're absolutely the hero of your own story, which is very important in life, guys. You can be the hero or the victim. Choose wisely. If you're fucking whining and complaining all the time, you're the fucking victim, and that's your choice. Now, if you're working hard, you're the hero. Kevin, you're being taken advantage of. And I think you know that. You're a smart guy. I think you know that. But you have a certain drive, and you just don't know how else to apply it besides your job. Actually, I think you do know.
I think
Go ahead.
it's not even so much drive necessarily. I think it's a sense of duty would be a more apt way of describing it. I'm always consciously aware if I don't go into work today, or if I, don't turn up and give my 100% today the same as I do every other day, work in an industry where that immediately has a knock-on impact on all the people who work around me.
Well,
That's a positive and a negative. It's a positive because it adds to my reason to get up and go into work in the morning. But it's a negative because it creates this sense of sort of filial duty that means that I've put myself in work situations where I've physically and mentally exhausted myself literally to the point where I have broken, because the alternative is to let other people down. What you need to remind yourself is you're letting yourself down first. If you don't look after yourself, if you don't stay strong, stay constant, look after yourself, you can't be that support to other people.
That's very true. That's absolutely true. If you're not good to yourself, you can't be good to anyone else. And the priorities in life is work/money, goofing off, fucking off, and then friends and family, the people close to you.
Cats.
And you have to choose what comes first. And I suggest to you, perhaps it's time for you to reorder your priorities and put your family first. Your family and friends, those close to you.
It's easy. I don't have any friends.
Thanks.
Well, I hope that means we're family. Otherwise, fuck you!
Of course.
Let me read Gary's comment real quick. Gary says, for a long time, I was happy as a recluse or loner to a large degree. I changed that, at least for a while, because of my own mental health. I needed to. So I'm more social and found that I can now, as I did when I was a younger person, make new friends pretty easily. Perception awareness in a realistic way of what is making us happy and or unhappy is, of course, key and easier for me as an older person. Chop off the fat.
Very true.
Yeah, chop off the fat. Look at... I have quoted Billy Crystal in... damn it, that Western movie. Damn it. City Slickers. Talking to Jack Palance, and he asks, what's the meaning of life? Jack says, this. He's like, your finger? No, one thing. Well, what is that one thing? That's up to you. You choose your meaning in life. You choose what gets you out of bed in the morning. And if it's work...
The cats,
yeah, well, the cats, yeah.
An urgent need to piss morning.
Is or is that?
It'll be warm for a minute.
That is a big glass of wine.
Elizabeth is still 10 minutes ago. She's still on the glass of wine.
It's a very nice wine as well. For anybody who actually gives a flying fuck, it's a Villa Vincenzi Montepulciano do Abruzzo.
By the way, it's 9
I was
o'clock.
going to go Italian. Awesome.
Does anybody need to take a moment, take a break, step away?
I did. To get my pre-wine, which is grape juice.
Elizabeth, go ahead and step away. We're going to continue on if everybody's sticking around.
We never did a toast.
We didn't do an opening toast. Hey, here's to the meaning of life, which really is those who care about you. Here's to us.
Here's to 42.
There we go. Which Andrea is now 42.
I'm in my
So am I
400 year
for
of
a
life.
few short days.
What?
Okay, Gary, we're going to pause and not say anything because Gary's leaving for a minute.
Everybody stand still.
Well, not
Last
the
day
cat.
of April today, yeah.
So,
We have Harold?
you know, there is never a point in time where we're in the exact same place as somebody else. Andrea and I have been seeing each other for going on 6 years now.
6 years.
6 years this year. We're not in the same place in our life. And we could go, well, she's 6 years younger than you. It doesn't matter. I've seen 23-year-olds who are where some 40-year-olds, and I've seen 6-year-olds who are where most 32-year-olds are. But to continue forward with the same person, you have to understand you are not the same person. And you have to have communication about that. So you're at least going in the same direction. And by the way, Andrea may be beyond me in certain ways, and then I may be beyond her in certain ways in life. So, Kevin, I say that specifically for you. So when we're throwing advice, maybe you're past that advice, or maybe it's something you can't even really put to work in your world because you haven't hit that point yet. You have other things.
I will always take other people's advice. If someone sends me a link, like you did earlier with the audio book,
Mm-hmm.
and says, I think this might help, you'll get a lot of people who go, thanks for that, man, I'll check that out later. With no intention of ever listening to it. What do you know about my problems? That kind of thing. I will listen to it. I might not, at the end of it, say, I think this is going to be beneficial for me, or I got anything out of that. But I'm old enough now to appreciate the fact that I don't fucking know everything.
You want to know the biggest thing that helped me with this book?
You didn't have to read it?
Yeah.
Well, no, I actually did read it. I have it in the other room.
I know, I think I
But-
read it too.
When I was a teen, I used to be able to walk up to people who were in pain. Anywhere from a common cold to a muscle ache, and I could find a spot, generally on their back, and hit pressure points and relieve that pain. I have cured common colds by touching people. And later I learned about Reiki, and people went, oh, well, maybe you're Reiki. And I'm like, well, maybe I just understand that there's a certain wavelength in a human body and nerve and touch points. But whatever reason. So in this book, he suggests you focus on a certain area of your body that has pain or a problem, and you direct the energy there. Now, there's much more to it than that. First of all, is feeling the energy field within your body, which scientifically I list as the electromagnetic field that we actually generate, that science has shown we put this shit out. And using this just over the past couple days, pains that I have that are normally there, that you see me using this little fucking G-spot finder for, I don't need it as much because I've done these little 3-minute meditations, 2-minute meditations, and it's made a difference. And on top of that, realizing the book is called The Power of Now. And one thing he repeats throughout the whole book is you can only deal with right now. You can remember the past, you can plan for the future, but don't live in the past, don't live in the future. Live right now. And Kevin, what problems do you have right now, right this moment?
There is 3/4 of a bottle of wine there.
That is not a problem you're dealing with right now. Because
Do you want me to answer that question honestly? Because
Yeah.
I'm prepared to talk about it, but I know
Well-
for those of you who don't, for people listening who don't know this, the bit at the start of the show where we always go, hey, who's had something happen in the last week, whatever, since the last show? We kind of have an unspoken rule. If it's negative shit, we don't talk about it. Because nobody wants to hear us go, oh, well, in the last week, here's a catalogue of all my woes. But if you want me to be open and honest about it, I'm prepared to talk about it.
well, that is true to a point, Kevin.
Yeah.
I don't want to create a 3-hour show of us bitching and whining.
No.
But
I have no desire to do that.
Right.
But in the interest of openness and honesty.
But
we
in
talk
this
about
show that
what's
we're
happening.
doing, we're approaching our problems to create solutions for them. So,
My
yeah,
problems at the moment are all work related.
well,
There
what
is
I'm,
nothing wrong with my life outside of work.
but you're not at work right now. You have no problems right this second.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
In this moment, I don't have problems because my problems are all work related.
Right.
I'm off work.
So now when you're at work, you're handling the problem. You're not stressing about it. You're fucking doing the work. And that's the point. Largely, the theme of the book is when you're in a problem, you're taking care of your shit. You're not stressing because you're fucking doing what you need to do.
You don't have time for it.
Right. Well, you stress when you worry about the future or reminisce. What's the negative version of reminiscing about the past?
Remonstrating with
regretting?
yourself.
Yeah, any of those. And that's the point of that. So if you go, hold on, right this second, what am I dealing with? I'm dealing with Travis, which might be a problem, I don't know, or Elizabeth and Andrea, and we're talking about how to be happy. I don't actually have any problems right this second. Now, I could look at our financial issues and go, oh, we owe money for this, or we have to go to work for that. But even
taken care of, so
even when I'm driving to work, which is one of my biggest anxiety points, walking out of my front door and the commute to work. But if I take that moment on that commute to work and go, what problem do I have right this very second? Nothing, I'm driving. There is no problem. When I get to work, which is what I stress about, I'm fine once I'm in work and doing the job. So that's very key of realizing you can't fix a problem till you're in the midst of it. And once you're in the midst of it, Kev?
Carry on. Did you have more to say?
No, it's a reiteration of the same stuff. Go on.
Just a thought that occurred to me when you were saying earlier about you can only deal with now. You can remember the past. You can plan or think about the future, but you can only deal with now. For those of you who don't know, like many other people, I've had a long-running relationship with depression in one way or another. And also because of that, I'm quite passionate about spotting friends of mine who are struggling and trying to provide them with support. Because if any of you listening out there have ever suffered with depression yourselves, you will know that if you've never experienced it, you can sympathize and empathize with someone with depression all you want, but you can't truly understand what it's like without doing some serious research or having gone through it yourself. It's very difficult for someone who's experiencing depression to describe that to someone who's never experienced it. It's one of those awkward things to put into words. You can say I'm miserable, I don't sleep well, things like that, the physical symptoms. Travis?
Real quick, for a long time, I never thought I suffered from depression. Looking through my history and with the research on current depression, in high school, I was known for writing help me in different fonts on my notebooks or sheets of papers or whatever. This is a sign of depression, and people...
They call it signaling, don't they?
Right. Literally,
like subconscious things you do that are essentially, this was not so dramatic, but a cry for help.
No, this was very conscious on my part. I felt like I was struggling in those years. Now, I turned to myself because nobody else was stepping up to help me, because you didn't have the resources you have now. And this is one of the big reasons I say humans are broken. We're wired wrong. We've got issues, and we are a societal animal. But when the society grows too big, we short wire. We can't function correctly. We can only handle so much around us socially.
The problem is that you've got so many diverse people. Back in the Neolithic ages, we were all wearing animal skins, all clubbing things to death with a big rock. There was a great communality between human beings.
Stop baby seal clubbing. Punctuation is important. We all
These
know that.
days, humanity's become such a diverse set of people, not just in terms of race, but in terms of religion, class, financial prosperity or lack of, social acceptance. There are so many society-based factors that you cannot now create a utopian society for humanity where everyone will be happy. In the old days, Thrud made fire. There was a fresh Stegosaurus. Everyone's happy. Yeah. Now it's much, much more
Okay,
complicated.
we weren't around with
Society-
Stegosaurus, but go on.
Brontosaurus.
But you get the point I'm trying
Yeah,
to make.
I do.
That
I
now,
absolutely know what you
the
mean.
more society expands and modernizes and advances, the more we create an awkward situation where you have so many different converging factors that determine social acceptance and happiness, that what works for one person will automatically alienate another.
Right.
So it's now much harder for people to find a communal common ground where everybody is content with their situation. What I was going to say earlier, by the way, before I lose track of my point, I was saying about past, present, future. And I'll come to you in a second. Liz. The biggest enemy of anybody who has depression is the two words, what if?
Yeah,
If
that's
left on your own for too long, stewing with your own thoughts, this will happen to you. What if this happens? What if that happens? Fuck it. Deal with it when it happens. Because otherwise I can think of 200 things that could fuck my life up worse than it is now that could all happen tomorrow. And I'll drive myself insane thinking about all of those. But 199 of those are never going to happen, and one of them's unlikely. So what the fuck am I worrying about? And that was one of the hardest things for me in dealing with my own, the way I deal with my depression, and it is different for everyone, is acknowledging that I spend way too much time worrying about what might happen rather than doing exactly what you said, which is concentrating on dealing in the now.
Right. Elizabeth?
All right. I just wanted to respond to. I didn't mean to give you the finger that here. I meant when I
That's a
this
shame.
one. Yeah. No.
I keep telling you, get one
Okay.
outside to come back and talk to me.
Kevin has
I'm not
specifically
gonna
said you could
respond.
finger
You're-
him
You're a
anytime.
married man. I can't respond to that. Okay, here we go. You were saying content with the situation. In society, when someone is discontent with their situation, this is the essence of when innovation, exploration, experimentation, right? You're not happy with something, you have to find a way to make yourself. I think as a society, we're not encouraging or teaching or affording people the room of finding contentment within themselves.
Right.
Finding these avenues.
We're telling
And I
you it's
was
okay to
just-
be miserable and go on.
Yeah, I take a pill, go on, or,
Yeah.
And I was having the same conversation with my mother last week before I went on the trip. Was one of the things I do like about teaching film or art is I am teaching children. I am giving them tools that they can take however they feel and express it in a way that people understand. Because film deals with icons and simplicity, it's a natural understanding. And it is incredible that anyone can do, no matter, some people are going to be better at film, some people are going to be worse, that anyone can take a moment of happiness and express it in film, and people will have a response.
Which people do every day on Instagram, Facebook, etc.
Yeah, but they're not always. Think when you are honest and sincere, that is when there's a release. Even if it's just running around saying "fuck you" to the world, or running around the grocery store jugging milk, whatever. And I don't think film is the only answer, but I'm saying I think as a communicative society, we have failed each other in supporting, educating each other how to find the avenues and sort of content.
So let's start
besides
talking
just-
about those
yeah.
avenues. Elizabeth, what do you
Excuse me?
think is just one of those avenues, or more if you know more than one?
Oh, well, for me, it's creating.
Okay, that's awesome.
Because I do in my darkest days, and I told you this before, I would get sick of that, I guess, that reek of just depression, and I would just to get home, because I had to fight with the other 3 million people trying to get off the island or on, I would say, how many people can I make smile? Now I just wave at people, or I goofy, or anything. Just say something. Reach out and just acknowledge you're not alone. Hang in, give up.
So that's two things
That's
then,
a month.
really.
Well,
Yeah.
and you know, just doing that could help someone,
Yeah.
and you might not even know it.
It's
It's
there's
got
an
into
experience I
darkness.
had when I was 16 or 17. And give me a second, I will pass it over to you, Kevin, because I definitely want to hear what you have there. Walking on the street, going to my job at McDonald's when I was 16 or 17. A very bad day, which was unusual for me. And hands in the pockets, shoulders slouched, head at my feet, and I passed a woman of middle aged who just said good morning to me, or hello, or something along those lines, and it brightened my day immensely. Somebody spoke to me and gave a damn enough to make human contact, even as limited as just a handful of words. Not even. And it made a difference, and I still remember that, which is why it's so important to me now to return that kindness and pay it forward. Kevin, what do you have?
So, over the last few weeks and over the last 7 days especially, I've received a multitude of well-meaning advice from pretty much everybody who's been aware of my personal situation.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of those bits of advice has been well-meant, but to be honest, and it's no disrespect to the people who offer that advice, the large majority of the advice, I've listened to it, I've gone, thank you very much, and then I've walked away and gone, that's not going to work for me. But thank you. I appreciate the sentiment that drove you off the advice in the first place. One bit that intrigued me, the only bit of advice that someone gave me, I actually mulled over, and this was the reason I stuck my hand up, was because it was to do with creativity. Some of you may be aware, those of you who've been watching the show for a long, long time, that when these four unfortunate bunch of souls first stumbled across me, I used to be a blogger. I know that's a bit of a swear word these days, but my blog was not particularly light or flowery, was it? I know you've read some of my older stuff.
It was entertaining, that's for sure.
Thank you. It was angry, it was bitter, it was vitriolic, it was about everything I wanted to rant about everything about the world that I hated. It's still up online. Shameless plug. If any of you ever want to go and read it, I haven't happened to it for years.
Can you drop a link or not?
I can drop a link. Actually, if you could find it and drop a link in Twitch for me, because I'm not running Twitch because I'm on my old
what is the link?
Steam-powered laptop. www.socialassassin.wordpress.com. Anyway, someone said to me, if you're feeling stressed out at the moment and it's all getting a bit too much for you, have you considered starting your blog again? And it was the only suggestion that I hadn't already considered in great depth myself. You know, they're the only sort of left field, for lack of a better
It's a
description.
great idea. Your blog was good stuff, Kev.
Yeah, and do you know what? The more I thought about it, the more it made sense to me, because I realised, you know, like you made a comment earlier, Travis, something about things you used to do that helped you, that you didn't realise you'd stopped doing, that you needed to start doing again to take some of this pressure off. And it suddenly occurred to me that I've always loved writing. I don't profess to be a genius at it, but it's something I've always enjoyed.
I've got a book right here that says different.
But I used to enjoy that, partly I think because I used to enjoy writing it, putting it out there and have people come back and go, hey, I enjoyed something you wrote. But also because it was cathartic.
Mm-hmm.
Now I come home and go, oh my God, this is really pissing me off today. Great, let's spend an hour. I'll write a blog post about how fucking wank all of this is, rate against it, slate it to the world for an hour, and now I've posted that up online and I've shared that angst with the world. It was healing.
I'd like to take a moment and just discuss the name of Kevin's Twitter, etc., and this blog, Social Assassin. Elizabeth,
I get a lot of people asking me if it's related to Larry David.
No, I don't even know who that is. I just want to ask Elizabeth, what do you think of the name Social Assassin? What's this say to you? What's this communicate?
Wit. Sneaky, and probably a good sense of humor.
It's a bit of genius, isn't it? I mean, just to look at somebody who would socially assassinate doesn't mean he's going to kill anybody. It just means he's going to do something to make these social divas have a wake-up call.
it actually came from, again, it was Luke Lamont, the magician, who, without realising, gifted me the name years ago. He was talking about, I can be quite witty, but my wit tends to be very sarcastic and acerbic.
It's a bit cutting, yes.
Yeah, and he once described it as Kev's great. He's like a social assassin. He'll walk into a room and he's like, "Oh, you've got a conversation going. I cut his throat violently in front of you. Your conversation's dead."
It says not available.
What's not available? Did I spell it wrong? See.
Hang on.
No, I got it. It comes through on mine.
But yeah, that's where it came from. I later found out it's the phrase "social assassin's" quite often tied to I can't remember the name of the comedy show. It's just having a brain block, but the famous Larry David comedy series. I'm sure someone listening will help me out. But yeah, it's a phrase that he mentions in that, and apparently there's a bunch of T-shirts and stuff, and so I get a lot of that. Is it to do because you watch this program or the Larry David fan? No, it came from a random thread in a conversation when I was first starting out, and I was trying to think of the name, and I went back. It's a great name. The tagline on it, by the way, I didn't credit it in case I got sued for pinching someone else's works, but the tagline on the blog underneath the title is "A sniper using bollocks as ammunition." And that's actually a line stolen from Storm, which is a beat poem by Tim Minchin.
Now, I'm going to share something here that Gary shared with me. I reread it. I was reading it while you were talking, but I wanted to give you more attention, so I didn't read it completely. He sent me a couple pictures he drew. He thinks it was in first grade. So they're very simplistic drawings, and I'm going to read what he wrote to me about these. In these pictures, you can see there's some trouble at home, and I believe I did these in first grade. One of the pictures has a giant wave over someone in a boat with no arms to defend himself against it. The other shows a boat sinking, wave above it, with the person on board with sea monsters waiting to greet him. Pretty sure that's a serious indication of some anxiety. Then he also added, I don't know if you want to share these, or it may not be helpful or relevant. I think this really shows a lot of the stuff that we look at now. 1 second, Kev, I'll pass it right over to you. A lot of the stuff we're dealing with as adults, whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 50s, 70s, whatever, this stems from somewhere. You are not a totally different person than who you were so many decades ago. You are just an evolution of that person, but you still have that same thread running through you. Yes, you can change, but it takes a conscious effort as opposed to, oh, I just did it without even knowing. Kevin?
Gary, one thing I'd say about your comment there about it may or may not be helpful. You're quite right. As I stated tonight, Travis, other people, lots of my friends have offered me advice over the last few weeks about my own personal situation. And a large part of it, I've listened to it and gone, thanks, but that's not going to work. Don't ever let that hold you back from offering that advice in the first place.
Yeah.
You never know. Some of the most helpful advice I've ever received over the last decade in terms of dealing with my own battle with depression came from the most unlikely sources.
Was it me?
Or unexpected avenues. Sometimes.
Go on.
No, sometimes. Not always. I'll be honest. I'm open enough to be honest with you guys. Sometimes you say stuff and I'm like, that's helpful. 9 times out of 10, whether your advice is helpful or not, just the acknowledgement that there is somebody else nearby to you who has experienced similar symptoms to you is enough. You're negating that other person's feeling of, I am alone suffering with this.
Very true.
And so, whether your advice is helpful or not, offer it.
Yeah.
If it's no help, they're no worse off than they were before, but you never know. You might be that magic spark for somebody.
That's very true. Good point there, Kev. Good point.
It's same goes for it. If you've got friends that you know are prone to being a bit down or a bit depressed and you see that, don't ever adopt the attitude of, I know them, I'm their friend. If it's bad enough, they'll tell me they need help. No, they fucking won't. Depressed people don't ask for help.
That's
we love
something.
sitting in our own misery. There's nothing better than self-loathing.
Elizabeth,
All right, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And Gary, this is one of the avenues I was talking about, how society, we fail each other. It doesn't matter if you're good. Doesn't matter. Matters is you're creating, getting it out of you, sharing it. And when you share it, it reaches other people. And for a moment, they can have that empathy and think back on their moments of whatever they see or feel. And then they have a break. That's what's important. It doesn't matter if do it. And I'd say that to anyone. And I teach it in class, Kevin. That's why I'm so thrilled you're going to create something. Just create. If more people created, less bad things would be. When people don't create, bad things happen.
I have a hard time arguing that point with Elizabeth. Which, Andrea, did you have something to add to all this?
Oh, it was like way before.
Let's back it up and go on. Do you remember what it was?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Beep.
With the even just saying something. Every morning, because I used to drive my kid to school every day, there's this old guy. I don't know if he's still living. Every morning, every afternoon, you see him on the side, you know, walking down the road with his dog, and he wave at every car. And my kid, he would be grumpy in the morning, sometimes afternoon. Just how he was. I mean, it was a bad thing. But when this guy waved at the car, he perked up. And this happened almost every day for 2 years. And just that little bit got him out of whatever funky mood he was in, and it was great.
Yeah, the smallest thing can make a difference. Kevin, you said depressed people don't ask for help. Depressed people drop really shitty, vague hints. They will say some little minor shit, hoping somebody notices that little teeny thread and pulls on it. And then if you ask them, oh, was that a little teeny thread you wanted me to pull on? They're like, no, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. Because a lot of us, we don't want that drama. We don't want that attention. But God, we want somebody to help. But we don't think you could fucking help. We don't think there's a goddamn thing you could tell us, do, or... Kev, go ahead.
It's two-faced. It's not just that we don't think you can help. Sometimes we're aware that you might possibly be able to help. What we're aware of is if I tell you everything that's going on with me so you're informed enough to help me, I'm burdening you with my shit.
That's very true. And you might abandon us.
As much as I'm suffering horrendously on the inside with dealing with my own crap, there's enough human being left in me that I don't want to burden you with it. Unless you specifically come to me first and say, hey man, you're not all right. I want you to tell me about it all. Okay, great. Now you've given me explicit permission. Brace yourself. Here comes the tsunami. But up to that point, you've got to you have to be the one to make the approach.
And here's what I'll tell everybody out there suffering from depression, anxiety, fear, whatever you want to call it, however you want to define it. When that person comes to you, go ahead. Go ahead and trust them. Go ahead and spill it. They have come to you for whatever reason. Let's hope it's out of caring and give a damn. But
I would.
Go ahead, Kev.
I was going to say, I would add, it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
If you're gonna let somebody in, don't let them partially in. Don't go, okay, you've reached out and realised I need help. Thank you. I'm going to tell you half of what's going on with me.
Right. And it'll
get you nowhere.
And it's really hard.
Either don't tell them and say thanks and pass over if you must. But if you're going to accept help from someone, accept it fully. And you said about trusting them. That is true, certainly for some people more than others. I don't think it's even about trust. I get what you're saying. You want to trust the person, not to immediately turn around and tell everybody else about your stuff, because wanting to share with somebody and wanting to share with the world are two very different things.
Well, also trusting them just to not judge you and turn away from you when they realize what you're going through, which that's a lot of folks' fear when they're going through these things. They're like, if you know the real me, you're not going to want to be around the real me.
It's a big concern for people with depression. You worry that people's perception of you is only, like we mentioned earlier, your game face, your theatre mask, call it what you will, the mask you assume when you step out into the world and you lock your shit away and get on with your life. And you worry that that's the person they know. if you peel the cover off and go, surprise, there's all these evil things and maggots and grimy stuff inside me, look at all this, they're going to go, fuck it, what have I done, and run.
Which
9 times out of 10, if they know you well enough to stop and have a general conversation with you, that isn't going to be true. If they're your friend, it's certainly not true. That's just the way you will be inclined to perceive it.
now here's what
there comes a moment where you have to just grab your fucking balls and get on with it.
I'll add to that. You have to grab your balls and get on with it. You cannot just bitch and whine and moan, and then when that friend is there to support you, bitch and whine and moan more, and then when they're still there, bitch and whine and moan more. No, you have to move forward. They're there to support you, not to do it for you. You still have to do the heavy lifting and the hard work yourself. You just have people.
It's life, not Facebook. Stop waiting for some person to comment, "Are you okay, hun?" PM me.
Right.
That shit doesn't happen in real life.
But
You can't be like you said earlier, perfectly accurate. And in fact, it almost hit a chord with what's been happening with me over the last couple of weeks, Travis. You can't go around dropping fake hints to people and hope they're going to pick up on that and go, "Hey, are you all right? Do you want some help?"
well, and once they do that, it's still your job to work on your own life. They're only the scaffolding around the building of your life. They cannot support you or build it without you doing that work. So sorry. You're allowed to take a break, but then you have to get the fuck back up and work on your own shit. We can't do it for you. You can't do it for me. You can only be there to say, "Come on, Rocky. Get up off the mat. Apollo's waiting. Kick his ass. Get up." And then you have that salami on the porcelain noise, and you win.
Meanwhile, in the background, your depression is whispering in your ear, "No, it was the bird."
Yeah, well, it's so easy to let things slip away and not try. I want to shift the conversation as we head into what might be the last half hour or what might be the last half of the show if we decide to go on till 11. And we'll judge that about 3 minutes before 10 o'clock and how much we want to go on. If we're feeling like we've got another hour's worth of stuff to talk about. How do you fix it? How do you move forward? With or without support? Which generally we all have support if we look for it. The support is there even from strangers. There are numbers you can call. There are websites you can go to. There are people you can reach out to that will be supportive to you.
I used to work for one of those places.
Go on.
The crisis line. I used to volunteer for several years, and that helped me get through a lot of stuff to realize, hey, my shit ain't that bad. But maybe I could help someone else get through their thing.
It is we said this, but I think we said it off air when we were talking before the show started, that one of the biggest tricks that I've personally used, and again, what works for me won't necessarily work for somebody else, but I said earlier to you, didn't I? It's a matter of perception.
Mm-hmm.
It's my sort of reference point, and I mentioned this to the guys earlier off air. If anyone's ever seen the Carl Sagan video, Little Blue Dot, talking about the Earth and about how insignificant the Earth really is when you compare it to the size of the cosmos around it. That's the tactic I adopt when I find myself self-following, for lack of a better description. You need to stop and remind yourself that, yes, in terms of your personal life, these problems are enormous, all-encompassing, towering problems, you know. But you compare that to, through a few examples you guys earlier, you know, but you compare that to an African who worries about whether or not they can feed their family today, who's got to walk 20 miles to find the nearest source of fresh water, or somebody who's living in a war-torn, zone of conflict that they're not actually involved in the conflict, they're just suffering from someone else's war, or someone starving in an immigration camp somewhere. When you actually compare your problems to those people's problems, it won't work for everyone, but to me it reminds me that what seems all-encompassing and unconquerable to me is actually pretty minor and insignificant in the grand scheme of life.
Yeah, absolutely. It's And if that's what helps you, Elizabeth, yeah.
Okay, I find it fitting that as we're having this talk, I had a friend text, and she's going through a really off time, and we're having off talk. She's on her third detached retina surgery.
Mm.
It's the one that she's lost the vision in her eye because the eye doctor didn't do the glaucoma test, the little air puff, and if he had done that, he could have saved her eye.
Ah.
Going through a very painful surgery, to not get too personal, and I'm trying to talk her through texting. So I thought it was a fitting moment,
Yeah, definitely a parallel. Which we've lost most of our viewers. No, I'm not complaining.
It just means we're only going till 10.
And well, no, not necessarily. If we're having a good conversation that we want to continue with, I'm not worried about the viewers at this point. Some people don't want to hear this, don't need to hear this, and other people are here to offer. This is why I threw out in the beginning, guys, stick around. We might be able to use your wisdom, your experience to help us. What we're telling you is, without wanting to fucking announce this to the world, we have issues that we're going through. And we need your help and support. We're not all rainbows out of our ass. Yes, Elizabeth.
Wouldn't it be awesome? You know how on Facebook and Instagram, everyone's always posting how amazing their life. Wouldn't it be awesome to have a place you could post like how shitty your life is for a moment?
Yeah, that's called Facebook, which is why I quit it.
No, but we should call it Basebook. So you can be Basebookers. And you try to take pictures just how shitty it is right now. Just as an expression to get it out. Pictures you draw.
My every comment would be like, you win. Your shit's worse than my shit.
Instead of Facebook, it's Assbook.
Yeah, there we go.
Assbook.
It's Andrea and I
It's where you post all the shit in your life.
Well, Andrea and I purposely only post positive stuff about our life.
Because if you project that, you will get that.
There is that. You know what? Let's talk about that. How do you create a positive thing in your life? Is it by expecting positivity, by projecting it, by working towards it? How do you make positive things happen in your life? Let's go back to the very picture I mentioned earlier. Yeah, Kevin's like, fuck you guys, I'm out of here.
Well, I look at it a lot as mind over matter. It's attitude. If you're always miserable and everything's going to go wrong, it's gonna.
Very true. It's if you look for the positive things, you will find positive things. If you look for the negative things, you will find the negative things. And some people who claim, "Oh, I only have bad luck," well, that's all they see. That's all they look for. They're blind.
What's the good part?
And then other people.
If I was supposed to match my frequency to the reality I want, how do I know the frequency? Where do I stop the dial?
Okay, this is why 11. I had that disclaimer after I read that picture.
11.
I've been looking like hell.
There are energy frequencies, whether we're looking at your radio dial, AM, FM, or television waves, or satellite waves, or cellular waves, and I say with no scientific backing, there are frequencies in our reality, in our mind. And setting yourself to the right frequency does create reactions. Something as simple as, I only look for the negative. Well, then you only see the negative. I only look for the positive. Well, then, even in the worst of times, like Fiddler on the Roof, you find something positive in that fucking shithole you're in at the moment that you take away. And you go, I've got something good out of this.
And to relate to personal things recently, okay, the shitty thing, the transmission decided to shit out of my car while I was driving it. Like, oh my god, this is not going to happen. I'm screwed. Well, I went and got a new car, and I could be like, oh, I'm in debt, and la 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 la. No, I'm looking at, I have the money to do this now.
Yeah.
If this would have happened any other time, I wouldn't have been able to. And still be able to have food. So, it may suck, by, it's more manageable now. So
Remember,
I'm looking at the positive.
if you run out of money for food, you can still find positive things in that, such as weight loss, and you look better when you lose that extra little. Am I wrong in the? Maybe I'm going the wrong direction. I'm not sure here.
I don't think you're wrong at all. In fact, I think if anyone wants advice on how they can effectively use roadkill as a food source, you and I both know an excellent book we could recommend.
I guess.
I think the first step for me in those dark moments is to help someone else.
So that's a good point.
Yeah.
And I also appreciate that, but I'd also quantify that with that can backfire. And the reason I say that is because you just reminded me of a comment that somebody made to me earlier in the week. Now, without going into too much detail, I was having a day where I was particularly in the bottom of a trough. One of my friends dropped by to see me because they were aware I'd had a few issues recently, so they were just, calling by to see how I was doing. And I said to him, do you know what? One of the things that's upset me most this week is that my close friends know about what's happened with me over the last few weeks. Yet barely any of them have reached out to me. And he turned around and he said, do you know why that is? He said, I can't speak for everyone, but I can tell you why. Because just about a week, it was 2 days ago, he came to see me and there was an incident last Monday, which I was on my last Monday's show. And he said, the reason I've been around for a week is it's hard to know how to come around and to offer you support. Because there are an awful lot of us, when our lives are fucked up and we can't make sense of it, you're the person we come to for advice. We don't always listen to it, but you listen well. And you stop and you think about what we're saying, and you don't just fire out whatever cliche seems to fit the subject at the time. You listen to our shit, you try and work through, and you go, okay, look, it was me, this is what I do. Might not work for you, but you offer us advice. When it's the person you normally go to for advice that needs help, you kind of get a little bit unmanned, if you like, in terms of how do I offer this guy advice? He's not a source of advice. The answer is you don't have to always offer advice. Just tell the other person you're aware of the shit that's going on and that you care.
Sure.
It doesn't matter whether you can do anything or not. 9 times out of 10, knowing someone's out there. I said to you guys, and I've said to a couple of guys at work who messaged recently and asked how I was, I don't really want to go into the full details, but the fact that you've asked after me means the world to me.
Yeah.
Just the fact that you care enough to care. How is it?
Let me put this forward for you. I walked out, was it yesterday or earlier today? Elizabeth and Andrew are both in the living room. I walked out of my office and I said, I really need a best friend who's a guy. I need a best guy friend.
That was today.
Because basically, there's times I don't necessarily want to drag Andrea down with every time I have an issue. She's got to live with me. I need to give her a fucking break once in a while.
Dude, message me. I'm rock bottom already. You at least survive safe in the knowledge you aren't going to reduce my life to any more.
Well, Kevin, here's what I'm going to tell you. I have reached out to you, and it didn't click. It didn't catch. Not necessarily this week, but over the past few years, there's been times I've reached out to you, going, "Hey, do you want to get on Skype when we used it? Discord now? Do you want to hang out? We can stream or not stream. It doesn't matter." Because I am reaching out. I need somebody else there who I can bitch to, and at a certain point in time have them go, oh my God, stop bitching and take care of your shit. Because I don't necessarily want somebody just to bitch to. You want somebody to eventually go, okay, you're running in circles. You're chasing your tail. Pick a direction and go.
Do you need a code?
Do I need a what?
You need a code word with your buddies.
Yeah.
You need a code word. You need a word you can say. And we're like, fuck, all right, because I'm gonna go see my friend tomorrow, and we're gonna drink a beer, and she's probably gonna cry a lot, and there's not all I can say, but I'm gonna sit there. And
Most women I drink beer with cry a lot.
I don't drink beer.
It could be because the ropes are too tight. I don't know.
You know what? And that's what's important too, because I think we forget that it's important also to. It's all right to feel. It's all right to be full of maggots. All right to not be perfect, and you're allowed to be imperfect in front of people. It's okay. And get your code word.
What's our safe word, Kevin?
It's not a safe word. It's
Oh, my
I
bad.
nearly,
call.
I,
It's a
I
call.
nearly, and I nearly blurted one out. And I won't say that. I won't say their name, but I must offer an immediate apology to a very close friend of mine who is.
Does it
Without
involve a
going
lot
into-
of toilet selfies?
I won't even comment on that. All I will
Cha-ching!
all I will say is that this particular person has a great interest in the BDSM world, and I know what their safe word is. Not because I've ever been in a context where I've had to use it, but because we're such close friends that I very nearly gave you their safe word.
You know,
So-
there are times you're in public and you just need to say the safe word to the person so they chill out. Just dial it back.
We've been out in public before, and this particular person has been on a miserable one, and I have texted them their safe word and reduced them to fits of laughter just because I know what it is. But it's not so much you need a safe word. I think this goes back to what we were saying earlier, and I'm not suggesting you've been doing this, but what we were saying earlier about it's no good dropping vague hints to people hoping they tug on the thread.
Right.
If you message me and say, do you want to hang out? We don't have to stream or not. I will treat that literally as, do you want to hang out? And I'm like, nah, I could do, I could not. You know, I've got shit I could be doing. I don't mind. If you would ever message me, Travis, and say, Kev, I'm having a shit day. Do you want to hang out? We can stream or not. That difference, I'll be like, give me 5 minutes, dude. Let me clear what I'm doing.
I
I'll
was
be online
totally
as soon as
raised
I
by
can.
a passive-aggressive mother. It is
Mhm.
not in my nature to be blunt with holding up a
No.
sign of, I need help.
But this is why
Yes, that's why
dialogue.
you say something like soft shell crabs, and everybody knows, oh shit, soft shell crabs, and then they immediately contact you. It's all you have to say.
By the way, Gary said code phrase pump and dump. Unload problems, yes?
Oh my god.
Pump
The
and dump.
bottom
I like
line
that.
is perhaps not a code word. Perhaps when somebody, whether it's me or anyone else, comes off with like, is that a vague thread that I should tug on? Perhaps say that in the most blunt way you can. Do you need to talk? Do you need help? You need to answer yes or no right now because I don't know what you're looking for. And the person who receives that message back after giving this passive aggressive hint needs to go, yes. Yeah, I need to talk to someone, dude.
I think a lot of time, your friends, your close associates, the people who mean something to you, all of those people will want to help
Mm-hmm.
because they are your close friends, your associates, people who know you well. Whether they care about you or not,
Well, if you're your close associates, I hope they care about you.
But it's almost irrelevant. If you're a decent human being and somebody that you
Yeah.
know on a social basis says, I need help, if you're not a complete cunt, your immediate reaction is, well, let me see what I can do. I might be fuck all use, but I'm prepared to offer you what help I can.
Right.
The problem is you don't know the other person is asking for help because they don't want to impose. They don't, like I was saying earlier, you don't want to project your problems onto someone else. So you drop vague hints in the hope that that'll be enough that the other person will pick it up. And sometimes the other person is dumb as fuck, like me. And you
Or
need
just
to go, hey, Kev, do you want to chat for a bit? That to me is an entirely different question. Do you want to come on and hang out on Discord for a bit? That could be, I'm bored. Do you want to hang out for a couple of hours? You know, or I'm not doing anything, or hey, you're home and I'm home. Do you want to hang out? It makes it sound like it's not important and it's optional. As far as I'm concerned, if my friend is ever in need, to me that is neither unimportant
Which
nor
is how a
optional.
lot of people portray their personal problems.
Yeah.
As unimportant and optional. Kennedy, good evening. We're talking about depression.
Hey, Kennedy.
And I am about to suggest to everybody that we continue for an hour and we go into the realm of the weird. We go into that metaphysical, religious, philosophical realm of suggesting how we handle these things on a moment-to-moment, day-to-day basis. Or would everybody like to cut out in 9 minutes and call it a night?
Easy either way. Has anyone who knows me told?
Elizabeth?
That's fine. I'll stand.
Andrea?
Yeah, I'll probably say.
Okay. So, Kennedy, you just showed up in time. We got about 9 more minutes, and we go into third hour, which is the inappropriate hour, where we're going to talk about shit that doesn't have basis in scientific fact. Now, in 20 years, in 50 years, in 100 years, it might absolutely be science fact instead of science fiction. But we're going to discuss metaphysics, religion, God, energy manipulation, prayer, spell work, and mental health, all tied up into a weird fucking ball of yarn, rubber bands, and snot.
Ew.
I know. So, let's finish with reality before we go into our third hour.
Way ahead of you.
Kevin, here's what I'm suggesting. I sent you that book. Yes, Elizabeth?
No, wait, my turn.
Oh, okay. I sent you that book, and Elizabeth, this goes for you too. Listen to it as you hit points that you would like to discuss. Drop me a message and going, Travis, you drive to work twice a fucking day. Well, to work, from work. You have an hour plus drive. Dial me.
Each way.
Now, Kevin, for you, I could get on Discord with you while driving. I just don't do video while driving. And then we can discuss points in the book.
What time is your commute?
I leave here about 1:15 my time plus 5 hours, so 6:15 your time.
Mm-hmm.
And I return at 6:30 to 7:30 my time, which add 5 hours, so 11:30 to 12:30 a.m. your time.
Cool.
Now, I don't know how reception will be streaming while driving, but it might be fine, it might be crap. We'll see.
Yeah, well, we've had the same thing with
But-
the mobile calls.
We can use each other, which is something else I want to say. There is nothing wrong with using people. Friendship, in my mind, is mutual agreement to use each other. It is a symbiotic relationship of I need things from you, you need things from me. We're working together and exchanging these things. And there's nothing wrong with that. When
Reset your camera, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, would you, reset your camera for us, please? You're a wonderful greet. Oh, what she got there?
I fixed it.
Okay, she's taking a break for a minute. We got 5 minutes till
But
the
that
top of the
fixed
hour.
it, so.
There you go. Thank you, Andrea. You did great. I don't know what you did. Just your mental powers there? Okay, did Andrea Thanos snap her fingers and fix the camera? We don't know.
Alright, I've never seen
You,
it.
just out of curiosity, have you guys all tried the Thanos thing on Google?
Yeah.
What?
Okay, if you guys haven't done this, Google the word Thanos, or Thanos, however you like to say it. Long A or short A. And in the right-hand side will be a little box with information on Thanos. Click on the Infinity Gauntlet and give it 90 seconds to 2 minutes. Enjoy. Well, spoilers. Here's what it does. It basically shows you the Google responses to Thanos, and then it will auto scroll down the page and you'll see one entry turn to dust. And then it shows like all the DC heroes with Wolverine at the end, which is not DC, and it turns to dust and drifts off the page. And then
I just want to know, I don't care if it's a spoiler, does Ant-Man really get in a tub of hot sauce and go up his butthole?
No, it's Disney.
So?
They missed a shot there.
Okay, real quick.
Surely that's the answer. This is a
Considering-
simple enough solution.
It made however many $1.6 billion over opening weekend. Gary, Kennedy, anybody else still on? Have you seen it? And if you have, does Ant-Man bathe in tub of Tabasco and crawl up Thanos' ass? Please
I just
post that spoiler.
Inquiring minds
wanna
need to know.
There you go, assholes. Does anybody else need a break before we go into our third hour?
No.
Been a while since the third hour. I am happy to have it again for the tonight, at least.
Oh, there it goes. Okay.
I cut the third hour because, frankly, a lot of us, Kevin and Ed in particular, were tired.
I'm doing it.
And
That's
you
fine.
do it. Okay, Kennedy and Gary have not seen it. We haven't seen it yet either, guys, just so you know. We will probably end up catching it on DVD because of...
I need to rewind and stop and commentate because people in the movie theater don't like that shit.
No, because we're broke. But here's what I'll tell you.
You know what?
You know what? Hold on. I'm begging money. You guys can send movie tickets if you want. What, Kevin? What do you have?
I was just going to say, you just raised something that made me think of an important point, and that was little things in your life that bring you joy. Doesn't matter what they are.
Now, do we want to wait till Elizabeth is back before we discuss this?
I don't think so. It's not a major point. Just a sort of side thought that was triggered by something you just said. And that is, if you do suffer from depression or you are having a hard time just dealing with stuff, even if you don't think you're necessarily clinically depressed, identify the things in your life that are the moments, the highlights of the week. What things do you look forward to? What things in amongst the morass of miserableness still bring you joy?
Seeing my cats when I come home.
Identify them and cling to them. Make sure you maintain those.
Yeah.
It kind of ties into what I was saying earlier about maybe starting the blog up again. You know, it's...
Kevin, your blog was genius. I didn't read all of it. But it really...
Well, there's a fair bit there.
There is. And, by the way...
if you're tempted to dip in and you want a taster, I suggest looking for the article that's entitled Anal Bleaching and the End of Days.
You know, I actually had this thought earlier today, Kevin. Okay, you know how with the Asians they have a lot more anal cleaning after taking a shit than Western folk?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I am curious, because anal bleaching is a thing. If you, after being out of diapers and you're taught how to wipe your ass, fold your paper, don't crumple it, you fucking heathens.
Don't tell me what to do.
And afterwards, if you started using baby wipes at age 4 or 5 or whatever, would your asshole be more pink and less brown stained at age 25 to 45 than it would be if you didn't do it? Now, while you think about that, Kennedy said, I have a bathroom I'm repairing, and that's taken up a lot of my time. Kennedy, what I'm telling you is, yeah, and also, are you still, like, I know you were going through a divorce, are you still in the same house with your wife and adult children? Dude, you don't come around. I don't know.
More importantly, Kennedy, how big is this bathroom? Can we all come around and bleach our assholes in it?
Or is it just baby wipes? What are we doing? So, what do you think? If we used baby wipes all our life instead of whatever, Stone the same house, Sloan the same house, daughters moved out. So wait a minute, are you telling me you're alone in your house with your ex-wife now? Talk about people who need a support group if that is the fact. And by the way, not just you, probably...
That person.
I don't even know if they're divorced yet. I just know it was on the road to...
Kennedy, I have no criminal record in the US, and I live 4 minutes away from a man who owns an unlicensed shotgun. I'm just putting that out there.
He says, now my son lives with us too. Which, as a writer, what the hell, why is there not 2 O's on the word two? But anyhow, Kennedy.
I don't think my asshole is stained brown, but
well, we can take a picture and let you know.
I'm gonna get a mirror and I'm gonna do the.
I'm so glad,
I bet you are too.
You said that, Travis. I'm glad you said that, Travis, because it saved me the public embarrassment of saying it myself.
There was one time I'm with Andrea and I'm like, oh, I don't want you to see this, and I like...
That doesn't taste brown.
Well, I bent over, but I turned away from her, so my ass was away from her, so, you know, as you bend over, your ass spreads.
But then...
And I was butt naked when I did this, but there's a mirror directly behind me, and she's like, you turn around so I can't see it, but the mirror's right there. I fucking saw your asshole. And I'm like, oh god, oh god. Comments?
a lot of men are unaware of the horrors of their own undercarriage as well. There's a great British comedian guy from Liverpool called John Bishop, who I love, and he does a sketch about he was doing a sport relief event which involved a lot of cycling, and he was advised by his trainer to have his ass crack waxed because it's one of the things that causes discomfort for cyclists who spend a lot of time in the saddle. So he made this appointment, and he was like, well, do I really need this done? So for the first time in his life, he describes putting a mirror on his bedroom floor and then standing astride it and taking it. And he says, every man should do this at one point in their life because you have no idea. He's like, I'm thinking, I've never detected anything that feels slightly abnormal. And then I looked down in the mirror and I discovered that Chewbacca was hiding behind my testicles.
Now, I've never waxed my ass, but I have shaved
God, no.
my ass. So, and I tell you what, for any man that has never shaved your asshole, it is a totally different feel the next time you take a shit and wipe than you have ever had before, let alone when you go out to do yard work and start sweating, because there is nothing to catch the sweat anymore, which may or may not help with that aroma that emanates from that area after you've done said yard work.
Excuse me.
I feel it's appropriate. So, what was the question that we were going on about?
God knows.
Yeah, and you guys want us to stick our balls in our mouth, and you got Chewbacca hanging out down there.
I really don't
Perhaps
want
trimming
you.
the shrubbery might be.
I never. Okay.
We demand the shrubbery.
Out of our viewers, how many people love to have their balls sucked on? Because frankly, it terrifies me. Because A, they're not an erogenous zone. They have almost no nerve endings. Second of all, they're this close to being a terrified pain center. Yeah, don't suck on my balls. And porn,
My balls, and tell
quit
me
it.
that you love me.
It's
You just jig them a little.
This is kind of veered off topic. Perhaps we should.
So unlike us.
Have you seen this
I
show
want
before?
to point out this is what is called avoidance.
I don't have any balls.
When we have a topic that we're nervous about going at, like what the fuck is that, Kennedy? Is that looking for group? LFG in gaming terms, that's looking for group. Are you looking for a group to suck your balls or check your asshole for stainage and hair?
$20 is $20.
You never know. He might be more aware of his own bodily situation than we might well be calling for a group effort.
Oh, Kennedy says he likes it. So you're a big ball sucking guy.
I think that's a stretch to describe him as a big ball sucking guy.
By the way, if you haven't seen Ricky Gervais's stand-up comedy on Netflix, go watch it, because apparently I have not hit the age where I realize my balls float.
Oh my god, he's so funny.
Yeah.
I read a great quote. I read a great quote on Twitter the other day involving Ricky Gervais, where someone said to him, "How do you feel about the fact that the US version of The Office has been so much more successful than the British one?" And his reply was, "Rich."
There you go. Hold on. Third hour intro music. Been so long since I've played this because we've been doing 2 hours.
Night inappropriate, slightly intoxicated, and very naughty music hour. This is where the faint of heart swoon, parents put children to bed, and things heat up and get steamy. So
And Elizabeth is in
drink to strap yourself
she's
in.
only a bag. She's in witness protection at this point. And Kennedy, doesn't mean I have any problem with you liking it, but I'm totally going to make a joke about it every fucking time. And by every fucking time, I mean every fucking time. Okay, third hour. God, I've missed the third hour. Elizabeth, you look like a Green Goblin or Wicked or something. You're terrifying and sexy at the same time.
Speaking of Wicked,
I've heard that
to
way
see
too many
it.
times in my life.
Elizabeth, do you want to invite it if we get tickets to Wicked?
I'm looking at the top right corner of my screen now, thinking, have I accidentally stumbled into a porno version of Shrek?
Is she Fiona or Shrek? Answer carefully. You fucking
I
Brit.
gotta keep my eyes really big the whole time.
Fiona.
Now you look like Marty Feldman. Stop it! Okay, so, energy manipulation. Whether it's scientific, of connecting the brain waves to the bioelectromagnetic field around us, thus influencing the world and the magnetic field of the earth itself, prayer, lighting a candle in a Wiccan spell casting or other religious spell casting, aligning your mind to the energies as that one thing that I mentioned earlier, which I'm going to read again right now since we're going to fucking discuss this shit.
Brace yourself.
Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. And it's signed by...
Your mom.
Your mom.
Who the fuck that?
Bashar. B-A-S-H-A-R. Who the fuck is Bashar, first of all?
Oh, he served on the Enterprise.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Dr. Bashir, who is now
Lieutenant Bashar.
Ra's al Ghul in Gotham, which is horrible casting, in my opinion. But anyhow. Okay.
Oh, really?
B-A-S-H-A-R.
Oh, he's so skinny.
I know, he's not
Spell it
imposing,
again, please.
intimidating. What's that?
Spell it again, please.
B-A-S-H-A-R.
Okay.
So what I'm telling you here is there is energy all around us all the time. Whether
President of Syria?
it's President of Syria?
That's the first one that came up.
No, I don't think that's who it is.
Mm.
I could be wrong.
Intriguing. I just googled Bashar.
Oh, here's one. The greater.
Jail.
He's got a YouTube channel.
Bashar apparently is a being from an alternate dimensional planet located 500 light years away in the direction of the Orion constellation.
Does he hang out with Seth? Because I have one of his books.
Oh, this is weird.
But anyhow, okay, let's talk about matching the frequency of the reality you want. You cannot help but get the reality. Now, of course, the first question Elizabeth asked is, how do you match that frequency? Okay, let's not even go that far quite yet. I feel like you remember Penn and Teller's bullshit.
I love that show.
Now let's go towards this, bullshit or not, with leaning like we want to believe it's able to be true. Do we all believe that prayer, spell casting, or setting your energy to a certain frequency can create active changes in your life?
Do you want an honest answer?
Yeah.
No, I think it's all horseshit.
Okay, so there's no way you can...
I will make an exception for religion. And the reason I say that is because I strongly believe that whether or not God exists, belief in religion can have self-restorative power.
Okay, we'll get back to that.
Because
Andrea?
I've seen that firsthand. I've seen it firsthand.
Okay, that's energy manipulation. We'll get back to that. Andrea?
But I'm a big skeptic.
Will you let Andrea talk?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
What it is, like, being pagan, I know there's Catholics and Christians, whatever. A spell is basically a very involved prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think no matter whether it's a prayer, a spell, or chanting, or whatever you call it, it's a way to change how you see things. Like the positive thinking thing. That's how I see it. You want positive to happen, you want something good to happen, you want something to happen, and you change your mindset to make it happen.
Okay, Elizabeth, anything to add to this before I flip back over to Kevin?
I'd say creating is creating. And I think to minimize it by labeling it or, I'm Catholic, so I definitely God and prayer. But I also believe in creating, and I understand the power of movement and the power of focus, thought, and visualization. So I absolutely.
Okay. Now, Kevin, when you answered, you first said no, and then you went, except in religion, then yes. So is it yes or no, dude?
What do I believe in that general principle?
Can this shit work or not? Can you change your attitude or energy So it creates changes in your reality, in your world around you.
I think the problem with a general sweeping statement like the one that you've just read out is that you need to acknowledge that depression, miserableness, not coping well with life, these things are all specific to each individual person.
Okay, I can agree with that.
I said earlier about the fact that I try and watch out for friends of mine who are suffering with depression, and I try and spot that and be the person who, like we were discussing earlier, is prepared to say, I'm a bit worried about you, mate. Are you all right at the moment? Do you want to talk about stuff? Because I kind of have an intuitive sixth sense, having been through some of those things myself, for picking up on people who are struggling.
So do I hide it well, or do you just not interact with me enough to see it over the past 6 months?
I think you hide it quite well.
Okay.
I think, certainly with reference to the comment you made earlier, I've only ever interpreted those comments from you as, do you want to hang out?
Yeah, like, absolute cry for help on my part.
I'm free, you're free, do you want to socialise just because we're both free at the time? Had I realised at the time that there was an underlying reason for asking that, a lot more of those occasions I would have said, yeah, totally, let's hang out.
And we don't need to keep going on about that. I'm perfectly dodging that bullet and moving back to the topic.
Yeah, I think I've seen the positive effects that I believe in. I'm not religious,
same,
but it doesn't mean I criticize other people for being so. And one of the main reasons for that is that I have seen the enormously positive effect faith can have in healing people's wounds.
So may I ask
I'm not
you...
talking about some kind of existential stigmata situation. I'm talking about how belief and faith in God and religion has enabled people to find a stability that's enabled them to build a recovery upon. Does that make sense?
So may I ask you where your belief system lies?
Wow.
And I'm guessing agnostic in general, where you have a belief that there is a possibility of something more, you just don't define it with any given dogma.
I accept the possibility.
Mm-hmm.
I don't acknowledge a presence of something higher than us, but that's because I'm very scientific-minded and not particularly open to religion. And so I acknowledge that perhaps one of my failings is that I'm quite closed-minded when it comes to considering matters of religious nature.
I don't know if it's a failing if you're just denying any existing thing, if you've explored it.
Maybe not a failing, but I have a... What's the phrase I'm looking for? I have a narrower tolerance margin when it comes to accepting other people there than it does. You mentioned Reiki earlier.
Yes.
And again, not to focus on you per se, but just that's a good example.
Yeah.
I used to have a very close friendship with somebody that I now no longer speak to at all.
Asshole?
And
is that what you said?
At all.
At all. I'm sorry. I'm going with asshole, though. Move on.
The reason for that is, and I'm not going to name names, that this particular person became a Reiki practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
And not just a practitioner of Reiki, but started advertising on places like Facebook. Doesn't matter whether you live near to me. If you live 300 miles away, send me a message. I can send you Reiki healing.
Yeah.
And I messaged her and said, you're no longer a friend of mine. You're a fucking two-faced charlatan who is robbing people of their money for bullshit you cannot back up. You are not a Reiki healer. This does not exist. It's not real. You're a con man. And then if you don't stop this and you continue to advertise yourself as being capable of healing people from 300 miles away, having never met them, our friendship is over. She continued. I sent her another message saying, I'm done with it.
Can I comment on this?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. So, I mentioned Reiki, but just 2-3 days ago, Andrea and I are laying in bed, and I started explaining some of these things that I'm re-exploring, that worked in my life before, that I'm re-looking at and reintroducing into my life with a bit of personal chagrin and embarrassment that nobody has to see unless if I show it to them. And went, next time you have a pain, whether it's a headache or menstrual cramps or some of the other stuff she gets to deal with, let me know. I would like to try to do this energy manipulation on your body. and see if it works. Now, I have thought about that, and if I can focus on a part of my body and introduce energy, which I have in the past week, and it relieves the pain in my bone spur in my heel, or the pain in the ligament in my knee that is more than 30% torn, and it relieves that pain, and now is it mind over matter? We can discuss that in a moment, as well as, in particular, right here between my left shoulder blade and spine, that's the worst spot of my body. And instead of having to take ibuprofen or Excedrin or bourbon,
Acupuncture?
I would try acupuncture unless you're threatening to stab me right now. So my thought is, if I can focus this energy on myself and create a relief, can I focus it on somebody else next to me? And if I can focus it onto somebody who is 3 inches from me, can I, because like you, I've often heard these, call me, I can do Reiki from 300 miles away. Can I focus energy on somebody 300 miles away? If time and space doesn't matter, Andrea?
They have to believe it too. Now, here's the thing. If the people 3,000 miles away that she called or whatever feel better, that's a positive effect. Whether they had anything to do with it or they changed their mindset, I think that it's all individual.
So is it
I agree
psychosomatic?
with you. Yeah.
Like
no,
a
I'm
placebo.
not.
Right? Go ahead, Kev.
Just to clarify my personal position,
Hmm.
I'm not saying that there is literally no positive benefit to people performing acts like, for example,
Sure.
distance Reiki.
No, I get what you're saying.
Because,
but
like you say, if the person performing the healing is convincing, and if the person receiving the healing genuinely believes that they've received a positive benefit from that, is there, this may be a contentious comment, feel free to shoot me down in flames. Psychosomatically speaking, I don't see there's a lot of difference between that and, for example, faith in God.
Yeah.
Or faith in whatever.
Yeah, kind of the same thing.
It's a stepping stone, if you like. It's something that you personally are using as the foundation upon which to build your own recovery. Now, if that works for you, great. I fully applaud your use of Reiki if it, being healed by somebody else from a distance, if that then gives you the peace of mind and the confidence that you've been assisted, that you can then move forward from that point in your own life and begin to make positive changes yourself, assisted by this other person. Travis.
When I was 17, I had moved out of my mother's house when I was 16. When I was 17, I lived with a childhood friend that I had known for, at that point in time, 12 years or so, which is a lot when you're 17. And his father once took me aside and said, Travis, you're living in a fantasy world. And I said, but if it works, is it wrong? Which I firmly believed at that point in time. I acknowledged, yeah, I live in a fantasy world, but this shit is working. Which we could again relate to religion and faith. But I did not at that time. Now, since then, I have often questioned and revisited that conversation, going, am I living in a fantasy world? But when I believe in this fantasy world, it does have actual real-world effects and consequences in the positive direction. So is it wrong if you believe this shit, Andrew?
I think it's okay to a certain extent. Now, you have cancer, you can't say, oh, you from 5,000 miles away are going to heal my cancer. No.
But some people have. Or maybe not that particular instance.
Maybe, but you got to think that there's some people that do all this herbal cleansing and stuff and it doesn't cure their cancer and they die.
Makes it worse, yeah.
you got, it's an individual choice or whatever, but you got to go by each
Case by case,
by
individual.
case thing, yeah. So you gotta weigh all the options, I guess.
Kevin, 1 second. I'm going to turn it over to you in just a moment. But Elizabeth, do you have anything to add? Because
I do. I had this conversation in the car today. So,
you were alone. That's creepy. Go on.
well, that ain't nothing. That ain't nothing. I took a break from writing, and I was thinking about the frequency and this discussion we're having right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about, okay, I've had people become very aggressive regarding my religion and my choice. And I remember thinking about, and they would say, how dare you be such a part of the Catholic Church, such a violent, they've killed more people, and, the whole rigmarole.
Sure.
And it gets down to, okay, yes, humans, you get a bunch of humans together, we're going to fuck that.
Right.
However, thinking about it this way, at least my understanding and my belief is I have faith in something that is an all-empowering, encompassing love. And no matter what I do in my life, this love is going to love me, going to forgive me, and it's never going to abandon me. I will abandon the love, but it won't leave me. And part of my role in life is to become closer to this love, to understand it, to fulfill it, and perhaps share it with other people in my own ways, which I do through create and my teaching.
Right.
And inspiring. And so I'm living a life of love. And if that's wrong, then I'm wrong. Okay. I'm wrong. Bye. That's the life I choose. That's the fan.
Yeah. Kevin, please, yes.
Elizabeth, you're not wrong, as long as it works for you. This is my point of view. This is not a general sweeping statement. It's very much from my point of view. But like I said earlier, the reason I make an exception for religion is not because I'm religious. It's because I have seen with my own eye a faith in religion have a positive effect on helping people turn their lives around. Now, whether or not I believe in your belief is irrelevant. If that works for you, use it.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
Sorry, go on, Elizabeth.
Okay. Now, this is from the artist. This is called the... I'll get the title wrong. It's the Battle of Art. I think it's called the Battle of Art. It was written by a guy
Is it the Art of War?
No.
Go on.
The Battle of Art. And he talks about how powerful is your ego. And when you're creating, your ego gets shut off. The energy goes elsewhere to the other side of the where. And the ego doesn't like that. And it will do anything it can to distract you from creating, or in this case, writing.
May I interrupt
feed
real
the
quick?
Ego.
This audiobook I gave you, he constantly talks about the negativity of the ego in this very essence that you're discussing now. Go on.
Okay. He said it'll even make you want to masturbate. It'll make you hungry. It'll make you distracted. You clean your house. Anything to keep you from creating. And then what if you were to extend that? Like, okay, there are frequencies that are positive, right? That heal you, that keep you going. Well, the other side of the coin, or the other side, or the negative one. What are the negative forces working against you? And now, since I am a religious person, especially Catholics, they warn against, the devil isn't always anger and fury. Sometimes it's whispers here to keep you from writing your blog.
Like depression?
Keep you from creating. Right. And that could also be ego, but whatever. Yes, depression is a temptation. It is something to keep you off the path of to keep you sidelined. And to throw that in there.
Yeah. By the way, real quick, I want to again, and I'm going to call people out here, so if you're listening and you're a lurker, don't sweat it if I mention your name. Tony, how the fuck are you? Glad to see you back, man.
Lurker.
Kennedy, Gary, let us know if you have thoughts on this input. Chris, I see your name. I don't know if you're actually there. And a couple other people, which may be bots, might be real people. Feel free to voice your opinion. We're looking for you guys to help us. The bottom line is we're all going through shit. You, me, them. And we want to fix it. And in the next few minutes, considering we're coming to the last 30 minutes of the show, because we're going to top it at 3 hours max, I want to talk about working towards solutions, or at least a personal trainer recommendation of a life plan.
The frequency number.
Yeah, right. However you want to look at it. 11 for Spinal Tap, 42 for Hitchhiker's Guide, whatever you want to fucking do. And I will offer my personal thoughts on it for what's working for me if you guys care to hear it. But the bottom line is, you're welcome to observe, but you're also welcome to, and Kevin fucks off. Elizabeth, do you need a break before our last half hour? Are you good?
I'm good.
Andrea, you alright?
Yeah, if I need more juice, I'll just get up.
You wanna, if you do, would you please refill my soda also?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. You wanna play Warcraft after this?
I don't know.
Okay. By the way, Andrea, as you guys can see on the screen, well, let me gonna shift the light here because we're actually in the same room.
Ah!
Yeah, I know you're being interviewed. So she's got her little. Can move your top hand. She's got her little purple hat on.
Top.
And the other day she was in a store.
Like this.
Well, without the robe, but she had, a dark T-shirt on and blue jeans and her little hipster hat, which is not really a hipster
Because
hat.
I
She
didn't
fucking
wanna-
knitted a hat,
Just don't
and
do
she
my
didn't want to
hair.
fuck with her hair. And she had little old ladies muttering under the breath as they walked by her or she walked by them. What?
The personification of, what was it, stupidity or...
Which, by the way, good use of the English language on their part.
Yeah, I'm just like,
But what a bitch thing to say.
I was being nice. We were all getting food for our cats, our millions of cats.
Because
You know the old little ladies.
by the way,
have
I am
kids.
so disappointed you're not using your crazy cat lady one tonight.
I didn't want coffee.
No, you put tea in it, whatever.
Because
Okay.
it's a big bowl. The cats will
We
drink
got
out
her
of
one
it.
of those cup bowls from the thrift store. It says crazy cat lady on it.
It's on Instagram. Check out my
It
Instagram.
is. There you go.
So you were just shopping, and they were saying bad.
Yeah.
Just bad stuff and getting in my way and giving me dirty looks, and I was being
'Cause-
polite and walking around people and saying excuse me.
Yeah,
And
Andrea is not bold. She is not an asshole. When she's in public, she's polite, she's considerate, and she will definitely err on the side of not saying anything as opposed to
I
saying
like
something
little
that would
old
upset.
ladies.
And she does like little old ladies, yeah.
I'm gonna be one.
Next week. Elizabeth, we're really looking forward to the next 20 years of doing stupid shit with you. I want to make that very clear to you that we're looking at long-term friendship with you
I sent her
and
a meme.
being crazy fucking people together,
I
which
sent her a meme.
It's only gonna get worse. It's only gonna
or
get worse.
better, depending on your point of view. Kevin, you fucked off. What'd you do? Did you pee or
Kind
did
of
you?
pissed.
Yeah, well, okay, never mind. Kennedy, how are your balls? Are
That's
they
a lot of. That's a big glass of what?
I sent her this thing. It says, "Friends come and go like waves of the ocean, but the true ones stick like an octopus on your face."
that's a good little meme. That's a good little meme. Where the
What
fuck
is it about octopi?
Nerds with vaginas on Instagram. They're awesome.
Okay, so let's talk about using energy. And Elizabeth, if you want to translate that to prayer. Andrea, if you want to translate that to spell casting. Kennedy says
think
I
we
was
can have
driving
the
home, so I missed a
conversation.
lot. Kennedy, I really recommend you go ahead and pick it up on YouTube or the highlights later. It's a good conversation. But jump in now. We don't just discuss your balls.
Or anal bleaching.
Yes, it's much more than that. So let's talk about what we can do over the next 2 weeks to make our lives more of what we want, which I think the bottom line is positive and happy. Am I wrong in that,
No.
Elizabeth?
What?
Thanks for joining the conversation. Let me repeat the thing for
No,
you.
you said about being positive this week. Okay, and
Over the
Positive
next
and
2
happy.
weeks, we want to be
Okay.
positive and happy. That is the baseline goal. Is that correct,
yes,
Andrea?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm happy.
Now, are you more happy this week than you were 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Why?
Oh, change of attitude, drugs, you know.
Kev, are you more happy today than you were 3 days ago?
Hang on, I'm just trying to work out where I was 3 days ago.
Yeah. Or in
Um,
that area. You know, I would say a week ago, but I know a week ago for you was hell,
Yeah.
where you were recognizing, okay, this is an issue. 3 days ago, you were on that cusp of, where do I go now?
Am I happier now? Happy is a subjective word. I'm more content.
Why?
I'm content. Why am I content? Because I've spent the last few days reassessing everything that's gone on with me recently and come to the realization, like we said earlier, that I have reached a point where I need to reprioritize.
Okay.
Now, I haven't done that,
Yeah.
but reaching the point where I acknowledge that I need to do that is a significant step forward.
It is. Absolutely.
So in that sense, am I happier? I mean, if you said to me, has my mood improved on a day-to-day basis? No, not at all.
See, I
Am
like
I
to...
happier in terms of description of am I happy with where I'm at? Then the answer is yes.
See, I like to point out to people, let's go with three extremes. You have positive emotions, such as I'm happy. You have neutral, which includes content. Neutral includes content. Because your baseline, I'm okay. That's content. And then you have negative, which is angry or afraid or upset or anxious or whatever. Now, most of your life should be spent in that middle point, which hopefully is content as opposed to, I'm blah. And then the peaks and valleys are your peaks and valleys. They're the extremes, and those might even be equivalent in many people's lives. But if you spend more time in that bottom 15% or 20%, as opposed to in the middle, which should be the majority of your life, it's time.
I just keep picturing the Emoji Movie.
Why?
Because it's about the emoji that's the meh emoji.
That's
but
true.
he doesn't want to be the meh emoji. He wants to be happy and sad and all the emotions.
He wants to have a range. Which, by the way, the meh emoji that is the main character in the Emoji Movie is played by the same guy who's the bartender in the Deadpool movies. Just so you know the level of comedy. Okay.
Patrick Stewart's in it.
So now...
You made an interesting comment at the top of the show almost 3 hours ago that I meant to comment on at this time, I just reminded of. When you said earlier, all we really want from life is to be happy.
Yeah.
I'd argue that I'm not even that fussed about being happy. I just want to wake up in the morning and not dread my day. But I don't have to be happy. I don't have to be elated because that's not a natural state of being. That happens when something specific happens to
Correct.
make me
That's
happier
the peak.
than normal. All I want is not to be. I don't want to be happy.
You want to be
I want to
content.
be not sad.
Yeah, content.
Yeah,
Comfortable.
not even content. I mean, content implies a certain level of happiness to an extent. I just want to wake up in a day where I don't think, the moment I open my eyes and my brain starts turning over, oh God, another day. Now I've got to deal with round 74 of this, that, and the other. You know.
Well, Kevin, let me point this out to you. Anytime you're suffering, it's your own choice.
Yeah, true.
I don't want to say fault, but you have put yourself in a situation where you are suffering for some reason. And you can make a different choice. Now, that might mean 5 less hours a week at work. It might mean 25 less hours a week at work. You fucking moron.
65.
Yeah. It might mean less responsibility. It might mean running your own business and having all the responsibility. That's up to you. But real quick, I want to jump over to Elizabeth because I presented the question to you and Andrea. Elizabeth, are you any better off? And I don't have a time period to throw at you. Like Kevin, I had 3 days. Andrea, I had a couple weeks. You, I almost want to throw a couple months at you. 2 to 3 months ago. Are you better now than you were 2 to 3 months ago?
Well, I'm going to defer that question just for a moment.
Of
Kevin,
course.
if you want to wake up and not feel absolutely miserable and regret, it's going to take
It's going to take what?
it's discipline of mind.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to retrain your mind on that positive thinking or not that thing, and when you feel yourself slipping into that, oh, I gotta do this, you have to shut it off. You have to find something out And I can't resolve it. We can't resolve this right now, but I know I get into that. It takes a lot of. You just have to say, hello, ego. Move away from. Yeah.
I'll
Am
say.
I happier? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Elizabeth. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I am happier because I have taken an active. I have made a commitment and decision. I don't want to survive my life, suffer through my life.
Right.
I'm going to find a way through this. I don't know. Yeah. Yes, I am a lot better.
I want to point it directly over Andrea's right shoulder, which is on the left of the screen. Giraffe attacking the butterfly. And that's a little bit of happiness. Again, I want to refer back to now, guys.
If I may add this.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
It was maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I had a very, very, very awful day. And it wasn't that anything particularly happened, but it was kind of like the weakness in the armor was found. And all of that bad sort of self-destruction came through, and it overwhelmed. And I just hung in there, and I just kept working and writing. Went to school, had to teach, just hung in there and just said, okay, this is happening. I'm going to get through it. And I did.
Andrea?
Oh, no.
So it'll be a longer period until that happens again, but it'll happen again, Andrea.
I'm going to pimp my stuff. Andrea was fixing her camera.
Yeah.
Hey, guys. On Amazon, go look up me, Travis I. Sivart. There's a free book up there which will remain free, 27 Thoughts on Enjoying Life. And it's 27 points, 1 to 3 paragraphs per point. That's the whole book. It's a 20-minute read. You can read it while taking a big shit.
Oh my God.
Okay? The point is, it's these things we're talking about right now. How to survive day to day. Kennedy says he read it. I believe Kennedy reviewed it also. If you didn't, Kennedy, what the fuck? Go review the goddamn book.
I just want to say on a more positive note, you
Then
can read it while they're bleaching your asshole.
There you go. You can read it while they're bleaching your asshole or waxing your back and balls and asshole. For men or women. Oh, except the balls, maybe. I don't.
You never know.
I'm not assuming gender anymore. Anyhow, it's not. Let me fix your world. It's a how to maintain your world while it feels like it's spiraling. How to climb out of that, and a lot of that, as Elizabeth said to Kevin just a moment ago. It's changing your day to day. It's maintaining. It's.
And I read it, and
sorry. Go ahead, Andrew. Sorry.
I read it, and it's a lot of stuff you may already know. It just reminds you.
Elizabeth, what were you going to say? Then I'll read Kennedy's comment.
You're not ever fit.
No.
We're not ever fit. This is welcome to the lifetime struggle.
Yeah, welcome to human, motherfucker. Kennedy says, I'm better off today than I was a week ago. Kennedy, let us know why. Elizabeth, go on.
That's the beauty of it. We are flawed. We are. That's why we're all the same. We're all really fucked up individuals, and we're struggling along together on the back of the turtle.
Humanity is not a perfect species, guys. We're a broken species. We're at the top of the food chain because we're assholes, not because we're right. What's that? Yes, opposable thumbs. Elizabeth, what you?
Some are worse than others.
Oh, some are so much fucking worse than others. The four of us, Talk of the Tavern, our supporters, we tend to be positive. We don't mind if you're an asshole. We just essentially go, let's work for the betterment of ourselves and others.
You can be an asshole, just be entertaining.
It's really a good rule of thumb. This is
bleached.
Yeah, well, this is how Bruce Willis made a career.
Bleaching his asshole?
You know what? Let's just move on. I don't know. Okay, I've never seen
Get
Bruce's
him on the
asshole.
show so we can ask, please.
Yeah, get him on.
Here's a weird fact for you, apropos of absolutely nothing we've just discussed. I have no idea whether it slept into my head. Joey from Friends. I can't remember the actor's name.
Matt LeBlanc.
Do you know what? Thank you. Do you know what Matt LeBlanc's first ever role on film was?
No.
You familiar with Bob Seger?
Yes.
Go and watch the video for Night Moves.
Okay. Kind of like Jessica Hahn when she was in Whitesnake's video.
Yeah.
He was on set just drinking with some friends on the day. He wasn't intended to be in the video. He wasn't there to appear in the video. He just turned up with some mates to hang out with them while they were in a Bob Seger video. He was spotted and they got him to appear in the video as one of the characters, the boyfriend or whatever in the video. Yeah, that's Joey from Friends' first appearance on film.
It's funny. Courtney Cox was in a Bruce Springsteen video.
Well, George Clooney was Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Okay, well, George Clooney has a career. Let's look at the other two. What have they done? Okay, moving on. Because after Friends, really not a lot. Matt LeBlanc did Lost in Space, and God was horrible. Matt, if you want to come on and defend yourself on that, you're always welcome on the
I
show.
thought that was fun.
I just
fun. When they were flying through the planet, that was all the spiders.
My biggest problem is actually the soundtrack, because I play it when writing, and they have his closing little thing. Last one to kill a alien buys the beer, and I'm like, what a crap line.
That's not his fault.
Could be worse.
He got paid for it.
Could have been Will Smith in Independence Day delivering that horrendous "Welcome to Earth" line.
I liked it.
Is it just me? I'm curious. Is anyone out there irritated to fuck by that one line?
You know, let me do this also.
I saw that film in the cinema, and everyone else around me cheered, and I was like, "You cheesy twat!"
By the way, Brett Spiner met him in person. Now, he's got some anxiety issues and some interacting with people issues, but what an asshole.
Maybe he was having a bad day.
You know what? I don't care. Brent, if you were having a bad day, come on the fucking show and defend yourself. I'll absolutely give you courteous airtime. But until then, no. He has a problem being around people. He's a bit of an asshole. And if anybody else from Star Trek The Next Generation is listening, you can come on and defend him if you want. We'll talk. I'm open to listen, but
Harry.
he got paid to be somewhere and he was bitching about being there. Shut the fuck up. Take your money. Do your job.
I mean, you guys know. I don't know if the listeners will be aware much. Before I moved into the hospitality industry years ago, I worked in big event security. So I did a lot of security for concerts, football matches, large events. No, I met a lot of celebrity people. And the nicest celebrity and the most asshole celebrity I met were both British. Americans, by and large, and I don't mean this unkindly, are kind of middle of the road when they're over here in the UK. They're neither super engaged with the fans nor super dismissive. They're like, "Oh, that's lovely, thank you very much, I'm off now." The biggest asshole and the nicest guy I ever met were both British. And
Are they the same person?
No.
Okay.
Not at all, no. The asshole was Liam Gallagher. For those of you who don't know, one of the two brothers behind the band Oasis.
Okay.
And the nicest guy ever, Rod Stewart.
Really?
He was the nicest guy ever, the most
British?
down-to-earth, normal guy. He did 5 nights at Earl's Court here in London in the UK. And that year it was his 50th birthday. So I'm going back a little bit.
Andrew asked, is Rod Stewart British?
Yeah.
Is he
Well,
really?
Yeah, Scottish.
I thought he was American.
No, he's British. Anyway, he had a birthday party on the Wednesday in the middle of the week because it was his birthday party, and he had a private thing back at his hotel for the family, but he had a big sort of celebrity do. He's performing in Earl's Court, which is a massive exhibition hall, and there's Earl's Court 2 next door, which wasn't being used at the time, so he basically had a hospitality company set up a little private bar and stuff. And they came to us partway through our day and said, "Look, he wants to have this party tonight, but it's going to mean 4 of you stay home, 2 inside, 2 on the door, to provide security for it, even though it's close to the public. There's people in the building, to have to be security staff on." So 4 of us volunteered to stay at the end of a 16-hour day and put in another 6 hours on top of that, making a 22-hour day to provide security for his birthday party. And at the end of the night, he came out, we shook hands with everyone, he signed autographs, gave people tour lanyards. One guy was like, "Oh, my sister loves you, and my mum, and my auntie." So he went off, found 3 lanyards, brought back 3 and signed them all. So he had one for each. He went into the bar, came back with a big cake, like a plastic crate, like a tote box. And he was like, "Guys, this is all the stuff that's been opened. Because it's been opened, I can't give it back to the company who supplied it, but everyone's gone. So please, there's like an entire crate with like 200 quid's worth of alcohol in there. Take it home, drink it." He gave us booze, he stopped, he chatted to people, he shared stories, he signed lots of stuff.
Now, this is pre-cell phone, right?
Yeah, no, this is like 3 in the morning. Do I have
No. Pre-cell phone.
Before cell phones.
Oh, yeah, before
definitely.
selfies.
Yeah, pre-camera phones.
Okay.
Not pre-cell phones, but pre-camera phones.
Gotcha. Otherwise, I'm sure selfies would be part of this story.
Absolutely.
But go
I'm
on.
in a Bruce Springsteen tour program something.
Wait, you met Bruce Springsteen too?
Oh, God, yeah. I've met loads of famous people, but I don't talk about it because people either think you're a boastful wanker or you're making it up. So I just don't talk about
but
it.
we, if you're a wanker, we put the word bus in front of it. So
Bus
beyond that.
wanker.
So now, I'm not actually a big Bruce Springsteen fan, but nice guy, dick, or somewhere. in
No,
between.
he was okay.
Okay.
I heard a lot
Not
of good
particularly
things about him.
engaging
What's that?
in terms of. You get some guys who'll talk to you a lot, some guys who won't talk to you at all because you're staff and therefore you kind of drop under the radar a bit.
Right.
Some guys who are in the middle. They'll stop, exchange a couple of sentences, but they don't really want to chat to you, but they're aware that it's nice to talk to the guys who are keeping you safe.
Smart, right?
So you get the whole range. Springsteen pretty much falls in the middle category.
So
He
Rod
stopped,
Stewart-
exchanged a few words. No, at the top end of the scale, he was lovely. He talked to us for the best part of nearly an hour, and that was starting at 3 o'clock in the morning as it was an evening party. So, yeah, he was a good guy, very much. Gave us loads of free booze, signed loads of stuff for family members. Great guy. And then some of them are utter assholes.
Right. Nice. Nicely done. We could do a whole show on that.
Mhm.
Just the famous people Kevin met.
Yeah, that'd be a 3-hour show.
Yeah, we could do that. Absolutely.
Mhm.
You're okay. So we've got about 10 minutes left. So let's do a 5-minute wrap up on the topic. Here's what I'm gonna say before I start asking questions and input from you guys. Being conscious of your attitude is very important. What you project is what you perceive. That's a different way of saying you reap what you sow. Being aware of what you project is what you perceive.
Well, if you're shitty to people, they're going to be shitty back, so it makes everybody shitty.
Right. And even if they're not shitty, if you're looking only for shitty, you're only going to see shitty. The people who are not shitty are going to fly under your radar.
Mm-hmm.
So, whether it's fucking a load of bullshit when it comes to God, energy work, spellcraft, or not, I will honestly say to you, if you look for the good, if you look for the positive, if you look for luck, if you look for the light, this is what you're going to see. If you only look for the worst you can find, that is all you will see. So, psychosomatic or not, it works. Now let's give everybody else a chance to respond. Elizabeth, we'll start with you.
We can.
I
Elizabeth,
think you muted.
Foul mood, anger, and.
hold on. Elizabeth, stop. Lower your microphone, please.
Sorry.
Okay.
I got a cat running all over me. Sorry.
Okay, now start over.
Okay. Start with, I like to respond with that just basic medical. A doctor, but it's known, it's understood. If you're in a foul mood or you're angry, you will have higher blood pressure
Yes.
at that moment. If you laugh or even crying, you lower your blood
Mm-hmm.
release. At the very base right there, I could probably use a little work attitude. On the drive home, I'd go, oh, and I could feel my heart settle down, and it was a little easier. So, yeah.
You done?
Yeah, that's it.
Just checking before I point it at somebody else here. Kevin, got some closing thoughts on this whole thing?
I think the only thing I really want to reiterate is don't be afraid that what works for you won't be accepted by other people. I've said it already tonight, I'm not an overly religious person, but neither do I not mock people who are religious. I appreciate its positive value.
Yes.
Religion is not going to work for me because of my personal beliefs in terms of being an assistance to me conquering my own issues with depression. But if I have a religious friend, that won't stop me from saying, what do you think God would recommend? Or, what are your Christian teachings suggest to you?
What would Jesus do?
It sounds comical when you say it like
right.
that. The point I'm trying to get
but
across
it's still
is
valid.
Just because it doesn't work for me, it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate its value in working for other people. It's an important thing to bear in mind if you ever do find yourself in a situation where somebody else is struggling and they do reach out to you for help. Try and be conscious not to impose your own system of values on them.
Or your perception of reality.
Because what works for you might not work for them and vice versa.
Or you might be talking about the same thing in a different way. So, Andrea, any thoughts on this?
Do what works for you. But don't press your beliefs and your ways on other people because it may not work. So.
No, let me respond to Kennedy with all the stuff he said. Dude, it looks like forward movement. That's really what you need to focus on. There is forward movement. There's positive movement. Overloaded at work, etc. Take it moment by moment. Look at right this very second. This second right now, Kennedy. You have no problems. You're listening to us on Talk of the Tavern, on Civic Social, and you're okay. You're amongst friends. Give me 1 second, Kevin. I will pass it right over. And you're moving forward in your real life. Whether your adult children are living with you and you're living with what is your ex or will soon be your ex, you're creating. Even if that's just laying down the flooring, man. Okay? You're creating positive things. You're producing. Kevin?
One of the upshots of what's happened with me recently is that I've started seeing a counsellor.
Okay.
And one of the things that counsellor, I've only had one session with him so far. Of that session, which was just over an hour, there's one comment out of the whole hour that leapt up and struck me in the face, if you like, that was significant to me above all else. I've said tonight, and it's no secret, that all of my problems with stress and depression at the moment are related to an issue at work. Now, my doctor signed me off of work for 3 weeks to give me a break from work to enable me to essentially get my feet under me. And the advice that my therapist, counsellor, Cornwall, gave me that stuck with me was, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier about the preponderance of people with depression to focus on what if. All I could think about for the first few days that I was off work was, what's this going to mean when I go back to work? And she pointed out to me the other day, she's like, who fucking cares? Because that's 2 weeks away. We need to worry about you now, you today, and more importantly, how you go into tomorrow. What attitude you carry forward to tomorrow. If the attitude that you carry in tomorrow is I'm worried about things that may or may not happen 2 weeks from now, you might as well go back to work tomorrow. Because being off work will have no beneficial effect for you whatsoever. And her advice to me was just forget about work. Stop worrying about what might happen. Start worrying about that in 2 weeks' time or the day before you go back. Because otherwise, being off work will have no even effect for you whatsoever.
Now, everything you just said, isn't that the core of what we've expressed this whole 3 hours?
I think so, yeah.
Worry
Yeah,
about
I think-
right this second. How are
Yeah.
you?
We've all heard the platitudes, if you like, the cliches, call them what you will, baby steps, take it one day at a time.
Right.
These are all phrases that people throw out, sometimes in a context that's utterly meaningless. But all of those phrases have value.
They do.
In
There's a
the
reason
sense
they're
that-
oversaid.
Yeah. Very rarely do you find that people who are suffering with depression have one single driving cause for that depression. Quite often it's a number of factors that have all happened at once.
It's the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, we're all big grown-up human beings. Okay, some of us deal with stress better than others, but we're all capable of dealing with X amount of stress in our daily lives. The problem comes when you have X plus Y plus Z plus 17 plus purple.
Right.
Yeah, then it all gets a little bit too much to cope with, and that's when you find people start to struggle
Right.
either with
Because really,
breakdowns or
honestly,
just a general.
algebra.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
So
By the way, real quick hello to Victoria. Glad to see you. Sorry we're
Hey,
not
darling.
acknowledging you more than this. Go on, Kevin.
basically that's pretty much what it boils down to. Stop focusing on all the things that may or may not be. Stop focusing on anything where you cannot affect an immediate change on it. And focus on those tiny areas where you can. Because everything that makes a positive step forward in your life, no matter how small, is a step. And no one walks to the finish line without taking the first step.
Yeah, there's an age-old saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And that's what you need to remember. That's something, and not just pimping my book, but seriously, guys, the advice in 27 Thoughts on Enjoying Life, one of it is just keep swimming. Okay? Just keep swimming. Just keep moving. It doesn't have to be big. It could be showering today. It could be getting dressed in something besides sweats and a t-shirt, or it could be getting dressed in those sweats and t-shirt. Getting dressed. It could be any one of these things, and there is nothing wrong with that if you're still moving forward or maintaining. Just don't slide backwards for too long. We all slide backwards, and there's nothing wrong with it. But nobody else can do it for you. If you're waiting for a hero, which, by the way, I love that song from Footloose and Shrek, etc. Waiting for a hero. No, if you're waiting for a hero, nobody's fucking doing it for you. Your friends can only support you and help you. But you change your attitude, you change your mindset, you change your perception, you change your energy, you change your world.
Here, here.
And that's our closing toast. Here's to changing your fucking world. Kevin, go.
Here's that. Travis, I know you've got it, but I've just put in Discord, I've just dropped a link to my Facebook page. One last thing I'd like to say tonight, when it comes to what I was saying earlier about if you have a problem, reach out. If you're a friend of somebody, take the time to stop and listen. If anybody listening to the show tonight has had problems with depression, is having problems with depression, and you want to reach out to someone, Travis, would you copy that link and drop it in Twitch for me?
Yep.
That's the link to my Facebook page. I know some of you have added me as a friend on Facebook over the years. Some of you may not have. Feel free to add me and drop me a PM. If you're having a bad day, I can't promise to be a panacea. I can't promise to be a magic wand and solve your problems for you. But I'll tell you what I will promise is that I've been through this shit and I will always listen.
Yeah.
So if you need to reach out to someone and you've got no one close to you in your life, you feel comfortable reaching out to me, reach out to me, a slightly psychotic British stranger. I'll do my best to fuck your life up as bad as mine.
And here's what else I'll tell you. Is, now, Andrea, Elizabeth, you feel free to, without even being a dick, say no. But I think if you reach out to any one of us, we're going to listen. Now, there's going to be a point in time where we're going to look at you and go, shit or get off the pot. Mm-hmm. Any one of us is going to do that. And it's for your own good.
Yeah, I'm not promising to wrap anyone in cotton wool, pat them on the back of the head and tell them it's going to be all
Yeah.
right, sugar.
Yeah, we're not here to coddle you. We're here to listen. We're here to be your friend. And then eventually tell you, do your fucking shit. Handle your shit. Because nobody else can do it for you. By the way, Victoria says, there is no life without risk. Take that first step. Ask for help. But more importantly, take that help. And realize you have to help yourself. Nobody can fix all your problems but you. But you could absolutely have this incredible structure around you to support you while you do what you need to do.
Fixing your problems yourself doesn't mean have to fix them alone.
Right.
It's not the same thing.
Right. But nobody can do it for you.
No.
It's your life. And if somebody's doing it for you, then you have no true control, you have no true responsibility, and you won't be happy with it because you have no personal responsibility. And that personal responsibility in your life is so important for fulfillment. Okay, so, by the way, for anybody else, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Good book. Perhaps a little granola crunching, hippie, self-love type stuff.
But that doesn't matter. That just ties into what we were saying earlier. It doesn't matter whether it's hippie-ish or you perceive it as new age or whatever. If it works for you, use it.
Right. I find it's helping me. No, I don't take 100% of it to heart, but I take a fair amount and go, this works for me. And I'm sharing it with these guys. All three.
Elizabeth, do you know what? It's really weird, that link that you've just thrown up in Discord. I actually watched that a couple of weeks ago, and it's not the first time I've seen that. I've had friends share that with me before.
Never ever ring the bell, Kev.
Never. I'm British. I'm too fucking stubborn for that.
That's right. That's right.
When was the last time you saw a British man back out of a fight? Who were the guys involved in the fucking 100 Years' War, for Christ's sake?
You're the ones that taught us. Here, hold my beer.
Bill Bailey, the British media. Can you imagine how dull medieval news would have been today? War, more, and war. But on a lighter note, demons were driven from a pig in Gloucester.
Now, is it me or is that a really fucking long pinky that bastard has right there?
Yeah, it is.
Like, I can put my penis down next to that and go, wow, I'm only twice the size of that. Half the size of that.
For comparison.
Okay, we got to do some closing music.
Let's have a pint glass.
There we go, which was twice filled with wine to empty the whole fucking bottle, as far as I know.
I like the fact you've been keeping check.
Yeah, you're welcome. As an American alcoholic. As Andrea just said to you guys, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Appreciate your input. Appreciate all your support and help.
Thank you.
Whether that's by throwing bits and subscribing or just fucking chatting with us people. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's do some closing music and get the fuck out of here. I think we'll be back in about 10-15 minutes maybe. Fucking around for a little bit.
I will.
No, Andrea will not be. I might be. We'll see. Oh wait, not that one. That one.
Thanks for joining us in the discussion of shenanigans tonight.
Everybody
One
dance.
thing that makes the show what it is.
White
Don't
people
forget to
dancing.
join us at the Tavern
'Cause we
next
got no
week.
ad.
Until then,
Tony,
have
thanks
fun,
for hanging out,
keep
man.
flirting, and be good to one another. Now, raise your glass in good cheer.
That's Tony
Enjoy the
Donna
small
for
moments
all you
every day,
Italians out there.
and steamy dreams every night.
Oh, is it all empty?
Haha,
I'll
Mr.
raise my-
Freckles.
Oh wow, that is a mustache and glasses. Okay. Yeah. Oh. See you guys.